Hello everybody and welcome to the Overwatch League. My name is Brennan Hook. I'm joined by the ever-lovable Joshua Sideshow Wilkinson. I feel like I'm in almost an ethereal state, Josh. Would that be the word to describe it? Yeah, it's almost...
Possibly. I don't know how you're feeling.
I'm feeling almost enlightened but slightly hazy because it's late at night and I've just drank a lot of coffee very quickly. So I'm ready now for some quality Overwatch.
I think we've got some quality Overwatch as well. I don't want to promise too much too quickly, but I've been loving the games so far this week. It seems like this week's meta game has played out so that a lot of different compositions are viable, and team styles are broadly, and the map types themselves, are broadly what dictates what people are playing. Plus, we've got to see a bunch of new teams being played in the Asian region, and the Vancouver Titans over in North America as well. So, yeah, it's been pretty fun. Load up on coffee and let's get going.
It's been interesting, and of course these teams are playing for the qualification points for our May tournament. If you don't know what that is, well, I don't blame you because we haven't talked about it that much, but hopefully I'm talking about it now so you now know about it. It's actually happening in 2 weeks' time, so we've got one more week of qualifiers after this one. All of the wins, they all go towards the overall playoffs, of course, which are hopefully going to be taking place at the end of the year. But for the time being, we've got this wonderful little tournament set up. And as you can see from our standings, Shanghai Dragons, which we would all assume to be our number one team, currently 0-1 in our standings after their loss to Seoul the other night. So that's interesting, Josh, because it means that this match coming up has a lot more stakes at play now.
It definitely does. The Shanghai Dragons are normally the team that you would say are the best in the Asian region, but they're coming off an upset loss against the Seoul Dynasty, who, you know, the meta fit them. It was double shield, and they managed to make a lot of successful plays, and they were also able to get some dive as well with some Winston and some Tracer. So the Dragons are kind of rebounding. I wouldn't say that it was a crushing loss by any means, but they're looking to come away with a very dominant win this time.
Well, let's take a look at the Hangzhou Spark starting lineup then. And nothing out of the ordinary, as you can see, running a lot of the same players that they normally do. And we're going to see what kind of results we can expect out of them as they go up against one of the better teams in the Asian region.
I am quite interested about the Hangzhou Spark, though, because we are seeing some teams opt for just strict double shield, and some teams opt for Sombra Tracer dive, and then there was Paris Eternal, who ran an Echo Tracer dive, and Adora played a lot of Echo last week. That's the last time that we saw the Hangzhou Spark play, when they 3-0'd the Seoul Dynasty, and that looked pretty good for them. So I'm wondering whether we're going to see that again tonight.
I have an inkling that we may not, just on the basis that everyone else in Asia is not running Echo, with the exception of Chengdu.
Well, Chengdu do their Chengdu things, don't they?
Yeah, sure. But it feels like the Asia meta thus far has kind of developed where it's a lot of Trace, a lot of Sombra, a lot of double shield as well on top of that. But on the other side of things, we've got the Shanghai Dragons, a team that we talked about quite a bit. So much talent on this roster. Didn't get the win the other day, but they're going to be looking for a win today against the Hangzhou Spark to hopefully make it 1-1 in the overall qualification points for the May tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Dragons will have 4 matches, as will all of the Asian teams, in order to qualify for this May tournament. And the Dragons would be your early favorites to be able to take it. Because even though they lost 2-3 to the Seoul Dynasty yesterday, that was in a very specific meta, I feel, that vastly favors the Seoul Dynasty, this double shield composition. Whereas the Dragons have shown time and time again, with their 9-2 match record, that they can just beast on every other team in the Asian division on a range of different metas. If they're playing dive, if they're playing Pharah stuff, if they're playing some double shield, if they're playing rush comps with the Reinhardt and the Mayhem McCree. This is just a really well-oiled team. So it is a little surprising to see them not at the top of our qualifiers, but I'm thinking that they're going to be a sure shot to be able to go deep.
Absolutely, and we're going to be taking a look at our map pool. First map being played, of course, Nepal, followed by a couple of maps known as Gibraltar. Where is Gibraltar, Josh? Of course, in the geography of the world.
I mean, Gibraltar is in Gibraltar. Gibraltar's its own thing.
It's true.
The Strait of Gibraltar.
Just testing you. Yeah, you passed.
Between Spain and Africa.
Well done. Yep. Correct. We're not going there just yet, though. We're going to be in Nepal, which is actually, Josh, where?
Nepal again is its own place. It's Nepal. It's not a city.
It's a landlocked country between what countries? It is.
Between what countries?
Yeah.
Honestly, now you're testing me. I mean, is it between like China and India?
I think so.
I think I don't know whether it borders. I think it borders some other stuff as well.
I think it does. Yeah, it's not just 2 countries. It might be more.
Like, does it border Myanmar as well? I don't know. I'm struggling. You've got me in a difficult situation here.
Anyway,
I know Overwatch, Brent. Yeah. I don't know geography.
Let's talk some Overwatch then, because the game is starting. The Hangzhou Spark versus the Shanghai Dragons. Both teams rolling out speedily, and we've got 2 different compositions straight off the bat. The Shanghai Dragons opting for a nice little double shield action. The Hangzhou Spark going for that dive composition with a Sombra Tracer. Already very, very interesting. Lip going to be hunting for a shot or 2, trying to find a couple of heads off on the flank. No one really wants to clash just yet, but as the point begins to unlock, Hangzhou going to be pressing that go button. The hack on the back line onto Lip as they try to start this dive attempt, but the peel is there from Shanghai. Lip stays alive at IDK, put up a bit more than he could chew. He tried to go for that one, ended up paying with his life. Still Hangzhou in this for the time being, but Shanghai looking very strong.
Shanghai absolutely read what Hangzhou were going for there, and I want to say it's an obvious dive target to go for the McCree. He is the most vulnerable person on the Shanghai Dragons team because he plays in the front line and he's only got the 200 health, but odd hack target. If you are going to go for a hack and a dive onto somebody, then Lijiang or Izzyaki, or maybe even Flutter, but hacking the McCree doesn't really do that much, so I'd like to see Godsby maybe diversify a little bit.
Lijiang almost paying with his life, but luckily the heals were there, and Shanghai holds strong. The door is now.
Lijiang is crazy. I love watching him, but he is crazy. Just in the front line constantly.
He plays a ridiculous style. It's like he has no S key, but here we have it. IDK goes down once more to Fletter, and that was a nice little halt from Stan 1 to set that one up. As you can see, the coalescence now from Bebe going off. Adora, I believe, got flashbang there off to the sidelines, taken out, but not before Gushue tries to even it up. But despite the fact that Hangzhou are getting a pick here and there, not quite enough. As you can see, the Shanghai Dragons holding strong, only losing Lip. And just like that, Gushue, I was like, okay, he's just going to reset that. But he knows the timings, he knows the cooldowns, and he just somehow escapes out.
Yeah, I will say, just going back to the fundamentals of the Hangzhou Spark's composition, I'm really surprised that Godsby is on the Sombra. The Tracer player is required to be more mechanically gifted, and in my head, you should have Godsby on that every day of the week. Leave Adora to try and set up the hacks and roam around. This way that they've got it kind of with Adora on the Tracer, I just don't think they have enough firepower. I'm not a big fan of the Adora Tracer.
And you'll see another initiation, and that's going to be the Blizzard 8 up by Rhea. Nice little start for Hangzhou if they want to try and turn this. That was what they needed. Removing it from the equation. As you can see, the supercharger goes down but instantly taken out almost as fast as it is plopped down. EMP comes out, but Lijiang was there, ready and waiting with the sound barrier, and lets it go. Lip with 3 kills, 4 kills. He was just making quick work of anyone who stood in the back line. That's going to be round number 1. Going to the Shanghai Dragons, 100-0.
Well, Bren, we may be in for a very speedy night, because the Shanghai Dragons have a history of just rolling and smoking the Hangzhou Spark this season, and honestly most of the teams in the Asian region. But for some reason, they've just never been able to quite get it going, Hangzhou. And I didn't even really see a glimmer of success there in that first round. It was a 100-0 complete shutout. I feel like the composition that they're coming into isn't really the strongest for their team. It's a very strong composition, don't get me wrong. It's meta right now, it's brilliant. Gushue's on the Winston, but just the DPS don't seem as comfortable. They're not on power rolls for themselves. And when you're going up against the firepower of Shanghai and how well coordinated they are, you need to be on comfort rolls.
Yeah, when you're on Village now and you're going to be running the same dive composition against Shanghai's double shield, that's rough because you've got to try and get an early pick. You can see Hangzhou instantly trying to go for it. Fledder used his Ice Wall early as a defensive measure, just to sort of mitigate a lot of the damage. Adora's going to be hunting for a kill into the backline, but Gushue goes down. The aggression was there from Shanghai. The halt damage being put in from Void's Hyperspheres was more than enough alongside the accretion. Because they found all of those pickoffs, Shanghai Dragons are going to gain control of the point, and they can just set up now with this May Symmetra. It looks like they're going to be opting for the high ground, which I don't disagree with in the slightest, but it's so hard to just dethrone this comp when it gains positioning on Village.
It is, yeah, but I will say the Symmetra is slightly easier to dive than a McCree. No flashbang, not really any burst damage potential. Godsby and Adora don't have to be that worried. Well, the teleporter's one thing, right? But if they don't have a teleporter active, or if it's not in a great position, then yeah, the sim dies pretty easily to this full dive comp. But Gushue is just getting shredded. And Godspeed's not there with any hack to set up the fight, and Adora's not in position with Gushue. These dives are just not coordinated very well for Hangzhou. And Gushue, even though we know he's an amazing Winston, ends up looking the worse for it.
Bless his soul. He's really trying, but it's not enough. It's not enough in this scenario. You've got to coordinate with your team if you're going to be playing the dive competition.
And these ults, they're taking a long time to build. Godspeed only on 57%.
That EMP is the one that everyone's got their eyes on. It's the game changer. It's the win condition for Hangzhou Spark, and they are barely anywhere when it comes to building it up. And now Hangzhou are going to be going for another attempt here. You can see Godspeed searching for the hacks, but he can't find it. The targets are getting battered away before he can even touch any of them. Gushue going to see if he can get a kill with his Primal Rage. Of course, that's what he's known for. Lip goes down. That's a great opening, and Hangzhou Spark may have been set up for something here. A little bit of gold that they've just found there into the river, and they're able to hopefully cap up this point. Only a couple of players remaining. Indeed they do. They clear them off, so Hangzhou Spark will be winning a team fight, which is good for them now as well, because they didn't have to use really many ultimates at all to try and get it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, they used the Primal Rage and they used the Coalescence, but Coalescence charges up very quickly, and the Primal you can throw out there. The EMP they didn't use, and they can try and set up for a big EMP now in this fight in order to continue this ult cycle so that they have the rest of their ults built up by the time Shanghai Dragons come back in. They see the teleporter coming up top, and it's on Godspeed. That's a bit of a bait, I think.
Yeah.
Trying to force positioning out of Godspeed.
Yeah, the TP goes down, but they actually took it and immediately disengaged from the high ground. Now the self-destruct is going to come out from Hangzhou, but here comes the big old wall. EMP straight into the close quarters there. The sound barrier from Lijiang Tower didn't connect onto Fleder, so he goes down. The EMP helping with that one. A great setup, a great start for Hangzhou. If they can convert this into a couple more kills, they could be in a very solid position here. The Coalescence from Izayaki is going to be keeping his team alive, but Gushue falling is not good at all. If you are a Hangzhou Spark fan, they just need to try and collapse onto the point, but stand one with the Halt is going to yoink IDK back. And 85% and counting now for Shanghai Dragons with control of the point. It's looking like a very, very dark time indeed for the Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah, they have mobile characters, so they're going to be able to get onto this point, and Primal Rage is going to be active for Gushue, and he can make magic happen, but there's going to be a blizzard. So Fleder just lays it down at 99%.
No one can touch. They just wall it off. No one can touch it all.
Nobody even touches. Wow.
Well,
I mean, that's absolute domination there coming out from Shanghai. The Hangzhou Spark had, what, like one fight where they looked like they were even close to being in it. I want to see some broad-scale swaps coming out from Hangzhou here, because this strategy, it didn't work in the slightest. I don't think it's the right strategy for the map, but I also am now just worried about their general coordination, because that didn't look too good.
Now, I will say the dive often takes a little bit more coordination. But in the meantime, just before we run to a break, I want everybody to tweet me your quarantine clothing, because I'm at work right now and I'm going to be wearing some socks and slides. So I've got that going on in my life right now. What have you guys got going on? You make sure you send me as many messages as humanly possible, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zip Chair Game, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. Of course, we just witnessed Map 1 between the Shanghai Dragons and the Hangzhou Spark. It's kicked off. It's already happened. You may have missed it. It was pretty quick. Yeah, it was actually pretty fast. We're going to be heading over to a different map, though. It's going to be Gibraltar, which we have concluded exists in the strait between Spain and Africa, I believe. Does it?
I mean, if that's what you want to believe,
I don't think it does,
fine.
right?
I mean, this is a watch point that looks like it's on like a little island off the coast or something. I don't know, Brent. I don't know.
But Gibraltar as the kind of city-state that exists in the geographic real world.
Okay.
I've got to look it up. I'm just trying to picture where it is. Because it's
the south of Spain.
It's the south of Spain. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. But
yeah, but there's also the famous Strait of Gibraltar is the connection between the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. I mean, I don't know why I'm teaching you things here.
I'm pulling up maps.
Okay, good for you. I'm going to discuss with the people at home.
You're right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. I know it's part of Europe. The Watchpoint Gibraltar itself as a map is very divey. It's very much conducive to people playing the Sombra Tracer dive or even the Tracer Echo dive. It's not really a map where we see too much double shield, maybe up until the final segment, that final straight area. But I haven't been impressed with what Hangzhou are doing at all. And I'm concerned for them, Brent, because their success last week was off the back of Adora being able to play the Echo to a fairly reasonable degree, actually. I would say that he outplayed Prophet in that series. And then you have Godsby on the powerful, Tracer or Sombra role alongside it. But here we saw Godsby get basically no hacks in the first round. Shanghai was so good at being able to deny him. And then Adora got nothing done on the Tracer. So I want to see a swap up. I don't want to see them just try and mirror this Sombra Tracer comp against Shanghai, because I feel like they're just inevitably going to get crushed.
I feel like if they try to play Echo, though, there's a reason we're not seeing Echo being played in these compositions.
Well, yeah, because it gets hard countered by McCree.
By McCree, right? Yeah.
But Paris Eternal had great success playing it earlier on today. And I think that on maps like Gibraltar, running McCree is very difficult. Like, actually being able to run McCree can be very hard on attack in particular, to be able to get that McCree into good positions up until you get to point C. So I do think there's some opening if they've practiced it. If they haven't practiced it, then, I don't know, just keep running Sombra Tracer and keep running at Shanghai, I guess.
So it's going to be, I believe, so it's going to be the Shanghai Dragons on attack first. So we're going to see what they've got up their sleeves, per se. Now, we can discuss whether it's possible for a team to actually have sleeves in the first place. I mean, when we make those kind of claims, we're assuming that the Shanghai Dragons would be a person, an entity, if you will, that has arms.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I have totally zoned out what you're saying because it's utter nonsense as usual. And my eyes have glanced at the top of the screen where we actually see both teams running the Echo. I do have this feeling that it should be really good on Gibraltar. It's kind of, it's almost the stereotypical Genji map. And I feel like the Echo is very good at being able to kind of maneuver from high ground to low ground in a similar kind of divey way. And Hangzhou are going to start with the same comp that they 3-0'd the Seoul Dynasty with last week. It's a Sombra and the Echo. So I like this swap from Hangzhou. Even if it doesn't work in the end, I like that they're trying something different.
Okay, but look at Shanghai here. Lip is teasing us with a bit of Torbjorn gameplay, and I like the Torb against Echo. I like it a lot because the turret forces away the attention of your Echo player a little bit. Provides a bit of anti-dive against the Sombra as well. The turret's going to be tracking her down as she tries to build up the charge. Godsby's going to have a hard time of it, and of course, very hard target to dive. As you can see, he's already popped the overload here. So he gains a bit of extra health. Very difficult to try and take down this composition, but that's a big Bionade from Bebe. Both Lip and Flutter have to play passive. In fact, Flutter ended up using his Ice Wall defensively, just so they wouldn't get dived on. See a lot of attempts by Shanghai to try and get some stuff done here, but another great Bionade from Bebe. Once more, Lip is anti-naded, and no one can heal him. He gets taken out. Wonderful start from Hangzhou so far. We'll see if they can convert this into anything else now, as the Shanghai Dragons are being pressured. Already falling down. Quite a low amount of HP, having to back off around the corner. Now IDK got the Resurrect off onto Bebe, which means they're not going to be losing their Ana player. And they can continue to hold here.
Huge. The res is absolutely huge, because if Bebe had been coming off the respawn, he would have been miles out of position. So even though they only saved like 1 or 2 seconds to actually, you know, resurrect him up, the positional advantage is still there for the Hangzhou Spark, and they're getting these ults up. Here's Adora looking to copy somebody.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it ready and waiting. And he's going to be hunting for a target, but who do you choose in this scenario? That is the question. Blizzard gets unleashed pretty early defensively here by Fleta. As you can see, Gushui has a
He goes for the Mei.
He goes for the Mei of all targets here, but okay, Ice Wall used off. He's got to start to hit some icicles right now. He's got to hit them right now. Indeed, he does. So he's got the Blizzard ready and waiting. Only a couple of seconds left, but lays it down. Blizzard's going to be active. Duplicates faded, but of course the Blizzard is going to remain for a short while, but no one actually gets frozen up. Shanghai's still in the fight, and Gushui using that Primal Rage gets wasted a little bit. TMP now going to be utilized by Hangzhou. IDK going for one of the ballsiest resurrects I've seen in quite some time. Gushui back in the fight now, so Hangzhou Spark taking a 6v6. Lip with a bit of a fadeaway post bomb. Puts in enough damage, takes out the shield, and Void's going to be cleaning up Gushui, but still anyone's fight. Hangzhou have to contest this point right now. They cannot allow them to get any more capture point here, but Bebe frozen up, off onto the side. Fleta takes him out. The walking just stuck in the mud, if you will. And that's going to be easily another cap up here for Shanghai as they clean up 1 or 2 players who are left remaining onto the point. Void is, okay, he's in a precarious position, but his team are there to assist him now, and IDK might be the one who's in a precarious position on the high ground. Being chased down, yoinked together.
Halt.
Wonderful halt by Stand 1.
A huge halt just to suck in both of those supports that were trying to escape from the Hangzhou Spark and continue this momentum. But you got to say, Hangzhou were fairly good there. They ticked off 2.5 minutes from the time bank, and if they can win a fight here, they'll be taking control of the dropship and be in a fairly good position to continue to defend. The issue is defending here, but they're going to get close to the Echo ult and the Sombra ult. Neither of them were really effective last time. I think they got the execution was pretty bad, but as they come up to them here, they can send in a nano boost in Winston and then follow both of those ults. Should be pretty good.
He gets deleted. Oh my goodness, the Hulk came through and they just collapsed onto him. He got taken out almost immediately. Gushui followed as well, and IDK, despite the fact that he's got that Resurrect, the duplicate was forced out onto Adora. He has to go up to the Tracer, but he's probably going to be instantly falling here. He's only got 150 HP, so he gets frozen up. And now he's taken out of his duplication form. We're going to see Shanghai just rolling this forward. They've only just started using their supercharger, so they've got that damage boost to work with. Bebe has to use his own Bionate defensively here. Getting beaten down, harassed into the corner. Gushui trying to salvage whatever he can out of the situation. The stick from the side. Gushui just intercepted it. Get down, Mr. President, but now he's chunked down to absolutely no HP whatsoever. How is he going to contest back into this fight? Lip is tearing through the opposition. Already 2 kills for him, and Shanghai are on cloud 9 right now. Not necessarily the team, not necessarily the actual sense that they
physical place
walked off, you know. Yeah, I mean, is it a physical place? It's not really.
No.
It's a saying, right? It's, you know, when you're in a good place, you know, I guess when you're in a happy place, I don't know.
Yeah.
What is the
happy
definition
place.
of cloud 9?
I'm not gonna get there. All right. The Hangzhou Spark, I think, are just misplaying their ultimates. I mean, and also just their initiation to lose Adora really early on. Godspeed playing with fire a little bit, but as soon as they get a good fight win here and reset Shanghai, I think they'll be in a decent position because they've done well at taking down the time bank a little bit. But still, with 3 minutes on the clock, Shanghai are kind of rolling forwards, and I love the way that they're playing. Still playing aggressive, getting in their face, forcing mistakes out of Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah, they switched over to the start comp. You can see the duplication being used as Adora's going to be moving over to the D.Va, so a lot of sustenance on this point. 2 D.Vas, a bit of a cursed image that we see right now on our screens, but lo and behold, built up the self-destruct, but Shanghai Dragons just move out the way of it. Adora gets demeched, and that's going to be forcing him out of the duplication, so he's back in his normal Echo form. He's going to be committed now from Godspeed, but Shanghai Dragons bounce back immediately with their own sound barrier, so Lijiang keeping his team in the fight, further using his Blizzard. Enough to force the positioning of Hangzhou Spark away for a short amount of time. Gushui going to get rezzed up, so he's back in the fight. It's a scrappy, chaotic mess.
That's a nice pick from Adora, though. That's a really good pick to take out the Tracer, because now his supports don't have to really be worried, and they can just focus on the front line and allow Gushui to make all of this space. This looks like a potential stabilization for Hangzhou. Oh, but Lijiang has just been so on point at dealing with this Sombra. Gets the kill now, and his sound barriers have answered the EMPs every time. Godspeed must be so frustrated.
I was about to agree with you. I mean, it just looked like a one fight for Hangzhou there. It looked like they stabilized, but the Shanghai Dragons are so good at spotting the key moments and weaknesses in these team fights, and they've rolled it forward off the back of that one singular pickoff. It looked like the Hangzhou Spark were able to defend that one. I was looking at the coalescence being used by Iziaki. I thought, well, that seems like a bit of a waste. You're already a man down, but they managed to make it work in the end. They find the openings off the back of it, and Hangzhou Spark unable to stabilize off the end of it. And a minute 51 on Gibraltar. That is a lot of time to get. I mean, look at that. Capturing all the way to the end of this map.
Yeah, that's a really powerful time. And I think the biggest issue for the Hangzhou Spark is that they didn't win a fight in Point B. If they were able to come out and utilize their EMP and their Echo ult to be able to really cement their position within the hangar, then Shanghai's composition is pretty rough to push back in with the Mei and a Tracer on the low ground against such a mobile dive kind of style of defense. But that never happened. Hangzhou really dropped the most important team fights on defense. And so that 1 minute 51 time bank is looking stellar for Shanghai. That's going to be so difficult to replicate. Even if you roll all the way through, just clearing players off the cart, you don't get a much better time than that.
Yeah, that's tough. I've received a lot of messages from people saying that they're disgusted that I'm wearing shoes indoors. These are my indoor slides. I only wear them indoors. Please do not harass me online for my footwear choice. It's comfortable, and it doesn't get my socks dirty from walking around in the kitchen. So there you go.
Why is your kitchen floor dirty?
Because I live with 5 men. Josh, like, and a lot of them, you know. I would actually say for a house of 6 guys, we are actually very clean, generally. You would expect it to be a little bit more filthy in the kitchen, but it's not. It's generally pretty well put together, but you never know. Sometimes this is just a coffee stand on the floor. So
yeah, that's the name of one of my favorite movies, actually.
6
Filthy
guys in a
kitchen.
filthy kitchen. Wow, interesting. Well, here we have it, the Hangzhou Spark pushing through the car wash section, if you want to call it that. Shanghai Dragons holding on. This is a difficult comp to try and dethrone, if you will. Dethorn, however you want to use the English language to describe the situation. Because the Shanghai Dragons are working with double shields. Big Bionade from Bebe, though, is going to be connecting onto 3 people. Shanghai forced to play a bit more passive.
That's really nice. I like the Shanghai Dragons composition, though. They know that it's going to be the dive counter, so they've got Lip on the Torbjorn. And Torb is really annoying for Adora and Godsby and IDK to deal with as they're maneuvering around the map. But 1 EMP down here, and they're just going to get demolished. They're kind of playing for time.
Look at that, the Bionade onto Lip has to force out the Immortality Fury from Izayaki. Hangzhou are looking for openings here, but Stan 1 ends up getting the better of Adora, and you lose your Echo, you've lost a lot of damage. Suddenly this composition doesn't have that much to work with, and Gushue getting frozen up. He popped the Primal Rage in the nick of time, but he's already getting chunked down, frozen up. The Supercharger comes down as well. The shield a little bit misplaced here, but it's enough damage at least to try and take care of a couple of these members. But I gotta say, the way that team fight ended up playing out, especially with that res on the Gushue, I think Hangzhou Spark have the advantage here.
Oh, absolutely. And if they can finish off a kill there onto Lijiang or Fleda, they'll be fantastic. But it's a nice defensive Mei wall from Fleda. Oh, Lijiang, he does get caught in the end.
Godspeed.
With his sound barrier up as well, so that allows for a free EMP here to be able to take point A if Godspeed can get into position.
Yep, Stan 1's kind of in no man's land right now. As you can see him, he gets the hold off on the Godspeed, pulls him forward and forces Godspeed back. That could be a critical play by Stan 1. Suddenly, Godspeed's not in position to EMP aggressively, and Lijiang's back in the fight. See, Godspeed's trying to spot him out, but he's Godspeed once again. And look at this, Splinter's been hunting for the Transcender. He hits the Icicle. This is absurd teamwork that we're witnessing right now from Shanghai. IDK, though, with the instant res, is going to bring him back because they know they need Godspeed to try and win this fight now with the EMP. It's the only thing they've got.
They've just allowed a Mei to run into their backlines and harass a Translocator. Okay, EMP comes through though, catches Void. EMP. Also caught Lijiang, which is huge. I don't think an EMP from Godspeed has caught Lijiang this entire match so far, but they counter it. The positioning is really good for the Shanghai Dragons, and they're going to stay alive. Sound barrier pop now as well. And that's not going to be a great flux, but it neutralizes the sound barrier at least.
Well, Adora just duplicated over to the Sigma, I think, just because of the higher HP pool, and he built up the Gravitic Flux. You got to use it. As you said, neutralizes some of you might as well use it or lose it, essentially. But Gushue, he doesn't want to give up just yet. They want to try and push this one forward, but he's being frozen up into the close quarters. This self-destruct has to be huge. Void will go down. Rhea trying to set it up for his team. Adora laying down the sticky bombs from on high. He's not finding anything. Chunks down, Fleta down to half HP, but Shanghai Dragons have stabilized. They still have positioning here.
Yeah, all the positioning in the world, and baby
okay.
manages to find a pick on Lijiang while he's walking around in glass. That's a very strange situation, but that's what happens with Lijiang sometimes. He has huge plays, but takes a couple of risks as well. And a nano boosted Guangzhou in the backlines is not what the Shanghai Dragons want to see. Iziaki with another perfectly timed immortality field to keep everybody alive at the back though.
Yeah, and it pushes him back and it wastes the nano boost. You can see Lip just firing off into these angles, seeing if he can find a pick-up or two. Shanghai, stand one hacked up, no shields for him. Bit of free push now for the Hangzhou Spark. Overtime, great EMP connects onto 6 targets. Hangzhou Spark, this is the opening they were looking for, but they have to capitalize. They have to convert it into something, but the EMP fades. Fleta, he uses the ice block, he stalled it up, the ice wall, the EMP, not quite getting enough, and now it's actually been turned. Shanghai are turning it. They're able to find a couple of picks now. Hangzhou desperately searching for anything whatsoever. Guangzhou using his primal rage to just batter Lip into a corner. But Lip's still alive. Now Adora using his duplicate onto the Diva. A little bit more HP in Hangzhou.
They nearly C9.
Finally, please, please, please tell me they capture this point up, because it is stressing me out and I'm not even a Hangzhou Spark fan. I've got to tell you, Josh, they are only inches away from capping up this first objective time. It has been so hard fought. Shanghai, I do not want to give it up easily, but finally, as one final player remains, it's just Fleta alive onto the point. They cap it up. Whew. That was too close for comfort.
Way too close. The fact that Godspeed gets a 6-man EMP and they don't really capitalize anything off the back of it. The focus fire just all over the place for Hangzhou. But they're not playing with the Brig. They're playing with the Mercy this time because Brig is unavailable. They're not playing with the Zen because that would be way too vulnerable. But here comes another EMP. 4-man this time, but a great Bionade onto Lip and Void. And Lijiang down immediately. Great focus fire this time from the Hangzhou Spark.
And how's Lijiang getting caught by the EMP once more? Playing aggressively, these aggressive angles that we've been talking about. High risk, high reward playstyle from him. So Hangzhou Spark going to continue to roll this card a little bit further forward. I gotta say, a lot of this being set up as well by Guangzhou's Primal Rages. He's been building them up in a very rapid fashion. I'd be curious to find out what his ultimate charge rate is as well. He's been finding value with Winston against a composition that realistically probably shouldn't be able to find value as a Winston. Playing against Holt, playing against Torbjorn, who's just battering you with molten lead. It's difficult.
It certainly is difficult, but Guangzhou, one of the best Winstons that we have in the league, is up to the task, at least at the moment. Adora with another ultimate here. They do have another nano boost to build up Guangzhou's primal rage very quickly. Godspeed almost gets the hack on Fleta, but Fleta destroys him!
Oh my goodness, that was filthy! Adora answers back though. He takes out Fleta after that performance.
But the res, though, is so good for Hangzhou Spark, because as soon as they push people away, they can instantly reboot after being 5v6, and Adora comes in, finally making his presence felt in the match.
Yeah, IDK almost a silent carry in a lot of these team fights, going for the instantaneous resurrects. Very reminiscent of how Neptuno plays, actually, in a lot of ways, when he plays Mercy himself, and Hangzhou Spark off the back of this. High risk, high reward. See you later, stand one. He realizes he's going to get separated, has to jump into the Gibraltar Strait that we found out earlier.
Sure. Yep. Do you reckon that's the Mediterranean or the Pacific? I think it actually has to be. Sorry, the Pacific. What am I talking about?
What are you talking about? It's the Mediterranean.
Yes, I think it has to be, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this did look disastrous for the Hangzhou Spark. They were almost being full held on point A, but now they've got ults to be able to capture here. They've done very well. It's not going to be a similar time bank, but that's a nice EMP onto Lip and Stan 1. They can finish off the kills, but Stan 1, how is he staying alive?
He was bionaded into the corner, but they couldn't take him out. That was the peel, I think, from Void with the defense matrix. Now you can see Adora moving over, duplicated over to the Winston using that Primal Rage. It's not quite as clean as Guangzhou, but at the end of the day, you don't need it to be clean. You just need a singular kill. That's what he gets onto Iziaki. Takes him out using that focusing beam now, seeing if he can cleave down onto the targets.
But that's both of Hangzhou's big offensive ultimates used for not really that much. They just got around the corner. And Lip on Sombra is getting close to his EMP. They sound very aggressively here, just trying to take down Bebe. And a nano-boosted Mercy! Oh no. We don't like to see those.
Whip out the pistol. You've got to make the most out of it. Valkyrie's going to be popped now, trying to work his magic in the backline. Stand 1 is harassing the supports. No one there. Look at that instant.
Great hack.
Ooh, the EMP gets, or not the EMP, the hack I should say, denied. Or not the hack, the resurrect. My goodness, my brain is jumbled. A lot of abilities, a lot of colors on the screen. You know how it goes, but Shanghai Dragons holding strong on the defense. And now Hangzhou, with only 20 seconds remaining, are making some last-minute desperation swaps.
And Lip has already had more impact on Sombra, honestly, than the Hangzhou Spark have this entire time, because his team is playing around him so well, giving him the space that he needs to be able to push in there and get these clutch targets hacked. Dora moves over onto the Tracer as well.
Fleta doesn't connect onto anything. The EMP, though, Fleta's in trouble. He needs to peel from his team. Gushway, what is that? Just a monkey coming barreling out of nowhere. His primal rage capabilities are insane. There's a reason why he's known as the Lonely Snow. The primal blade from Gushway getting 2 kills now. May have just given the Hangzhou Spark a lifeline, but they have to capitalize off the back of this one. Shanghai Dragons are battering people away. Stand 1 with a primal rage of his own just about fades, but he may have just bought enough time as there's only a few members of the Hangzhou Spark remaining. Desperately trying to push this one, and they have to go sicko mode. They have to clutch it up, but they're not going to be able to. The Shanghai Dragons hold strong. They're going to be able to stop them from pushing it in all the way, taking map number 2.
Well, the Hangzhou Spark, I like the plan that they came out with, running Adora on the Echo. I think that gave them more opportunities in the fight rather than just trying to take the direct Sombra Trace duel, which they didn't have that much success with.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think they lost it on their defense, because the offense, once they got past point A, was not that bad. They managed to get through point B fairly successfully, transition it forwards. They even had opportunities to win there on point C, with Gushway just going beast mode with his primal rage. But Shanghai Dragons are just too good. This team is too coordinated. They all think on the same level. When they push together, they open up massive amounts of space for their DPS players to be able to work with. And they capitalize every single time. And that was a closer map, for sure, than map 1. But Shanghai are still so in control here.
Yep, they certainly are. It's interesting to see these top teams, especially Shanghai, sort of almost battering back after the game the other night against the Seoul Dynasty. Of course, Seoul, nothing to take away from them. They played very well, but it's interesting to see Shanghai Dragons with a bit of fire in their eyes. When we know that they're already a capable team, they're going to be even more motivated to take this series away. But we're going to be discussing that and more after the break, so don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League, and welcome back to our game break presented by, who is it, Josh? Remind me real quick.
Cheesy Grooves.
What, is it Cheesy Grooves? It is Cheesy Grooves.
Yeah,
well
it's
done.
Cheesy Grooves.
Yeah, good job. Anyway, this has been, so far, quite a one-sided match that we've just seen, and I just want to thank everybody at home who's watching this one as well. I asked for your quarantine outfits, your quarantine fits, if you will. And you delivered. I have received numerous messages, tweets, and it is all people from the UK in dressing gowns with a cup of tea watching some morning Overwatch. And
That's pretty good.
It reminds me, Josh, of when Apex is going on, OGN Apex, and it would be, I remember, 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd wake up in my dressing gown, cup of tea, go into the living room, and watch some Apex. And it's very reminiscent. Nostalgic.
There's no better way to start the day than witnessing some cool Overwatch. And it's
genuinely,
better,
yes. Yeah.
It's better for them in the UK where they just wake up at a reasonable time in the morning. I mean, it's 1:41 for me, and we're going to be going late into the night. So I would rather be waking up with a nice cup of tea and a robe.
I mean, you can still cast with a robe on and a cup of tea if you want.
I certainly could, yeah. I would show you the mug that I've got, but it's not suitable for stream, unfortunately. So I can't show you that cup of tea that I've got in front of me.
I don't know if that's because of sponsors or if it's just not PG-13.
It's just not a PG-13 mug, Bren. All right. I, however, though, have got something that I want to discuss, and it's centered around Lip, because I think that Lip is one of our leading candidates for Rookie of the Year so far. So I've got a crunch time presented by Cheesy Grooves, where I want to go through his play towards the end of this map, where he was on the Sombra, because he swapped over onto the Sombra kind of a little later on, and he was able to build up his EMP very quickly in this final fight. And they only took one fight for Lip to be able to build up the EMP. Then they sound barriered aggressively, and he runs in, gets a huge EMP to be able to take out the Hangzhou Spark. He gets a 3-man EMP, but crucially, it's on 3 really important targets as well. He gets both of the tanks, and then he also gets a Dora in it as well. And then he comes in and denies the res with another hack. This guy is playing at another level in terms of being able to play just every hero that the Shanghai Dragons want him to play on, and being able to play them all at an elite level. I really do think that this is a leading candidate right now for the Rookie of the Year. He's just so strong on anything that Shanghai want to put him on.
Yeah, he's also a character. I say a character. He's a guy, a person, if you will, an entity in the world that we haven't really talked about that much. He almost falls under the radar in a lot of scenarios, and that's kind of strange for a DPS player, but when you think of the star talent on Shanghai, I think just by default, we often refer back to Fletter, we often refer back to, is it Yaki, for example? These players spring into your mind, but Lip making a name for himself. Good spot, Josh. I can only assume that there was a clip associated with that as well. Did you do some drawing?
Yes, I mean, I did a little bit of drawing, Brent. Okay. Not enough to blow your mind. It wasn't a particularly, complex play. I just wanted to highlight how good Lip has been playing recently, because we've seen him, honestly, on everything. Like, his hit scan has been fantastic. He played a little bit of Torbjorn so far this map as well. He's been really, really stand out on the Sombra whenever he's been able to play that. And he's paired alongside Fletter to be phenomenal. When you think about how the Shanghai Dragons were able to win Stage 3 last year, they used a totally different lineup. So just the confidence in Fletter and Lip to be able to field them every game, game after game, and come out with the wins is spectacular. Yeah, it's
Shanghai Dragons. The thing that I love about them as well is it's a team they've got all the pieces, and there's a lot of teams with the pieces, but they don't quite utilize them. And you look at the team on paper and you think this is a top team. They often don't really live up to that kind of metric that we kind of apply.
Yeah.
But Shanghai Dragons, they do, and they do it quite well, and that's a big part of that being Coach Moon. I remember when we sat down and spoke to him when he was coaching Valiant, I should say, and he reminded me of. I don't want to say arrogant, but he reminded me of someone who just was very confident in what he was saying.
Sure. Yeah. It was almost like he couldn't even imagine defeat. Like it hadn't even crossed his mind. Yeah. Having said that, when he was with the Valiant, it really didn't go very well. But this is a new start for the Shanghai Dragons coaching staff, and I think that they've proven so far this year that they've got a great grasp of how to use their talents. Sometimes a coach for one team is just a great coach but a bad fit. And I think that Moon and the rest of the staff on the Shanghai Dragons have showcased that they've really got the full potential out of the great pieces that are on this roster.
Well, that is going to do it for our game break. When we come back, we're going to have the rest of the series between the Shanghai Dragons and Hangzhou Spark. Do not go anywhere. Potentially one more map, maybe more, coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. We are heading into potentially the final map of this series. As you can see, I haven't been fired yet from Blizzard, but you know, maybe there's still
only a matter of time. Really,
it is only
it's
a matter of
only
time.
a matter of time,
as they say. Eventually, if you think about it, the longer anything happens, eventually all outcomes will happen, right? Is that not how?
What?
There's like it's like a weird chaos theory. I don't know.
All outcomes
Anything that
will
can
happen
will happen. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I think you've just blended many different theories of physics together in your head there, and just come up with your own little theory.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can come up with some hypothesis and try and disprove it.
I feel like I was born in the wrong era. You know, I feel like I would have.
Yep.
I would have.
You always do actually strike me as a medieval kind of man.
I feel like I could have done philosophy in the ancient Greek days. You know.
Right. Yeah, back when we didn't know that much.
Yeah. I could have been at the forefront of something. But instead, here I am with my cable in front of me like an unprofessional moron. Anyway, we are heading into the series shortly, the Shanghai Dragons versus the Hangzhou Spark. If you're just joining us, well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. And it's been quite a one-sided affair thus far. The Shanghai Dragons leading 2-0.
Yeah.
They are desperate for that qualification point.
Yes, absolutely. The Shanghai Dragons really need this. It's the kind of win that you're expected to get, and you should get in dominant fashion. King's Row is interesting. That's the next map that we're going to be going into. And normally, I would say that this favors just complete double shield mirroring. And that's the way that it should be. That's how it's always been.
Sure.
And that is what will come to pass. But Hangzhou have been playing pretty much only dive so far. And we saw New York trying Genji Doomfist on this map, on point A. Not to great success, I must say, but it does show that the meta is not as closed off, perhaps, as we might have thought.
Yeah.
Even on a map that seems to favor very heavy double shield like King's Row, there's still a variety of different things being played. So I'm interested to see what they bring to the table. Hangzhou Spark really haven't tried double shield at all so far in this series, and that would be quite difficult on Gibraltar, but certainly could have run it on Nepal and opted not to, so I'm not sure whether they're just a bit scared to run it into Shanghai, but it does seem to be one of Shanghai's weaker compositions, if you can even call any of their compositions weak.
Well, Shanghai Dragons on the attacking side. I would like to see this composition. I think they might just be searching for a pickoff, but okay, well, yeah. Not going to be opting for it. I'm a huge fan of double sniper compositions, but we only really see it on Junkertown these days. Shanghai just going to be hunting for an opportunity now. The recon arrow is really good at scouting out somebody's corner, seeing if they can get a pickoff or two. Hangzhou opting to kind of mirror them. In fact, yeah, mirror them exactly. They're going to be running the same composition. So we'll see how they stand up, and wow, that's a great pickoff. Flutter going down immediately means that Hangzhou have been bought some time, and they are in a good position to win any team fight. Even if Shanghai want to push this forward, don't know why they would. They're just going to wait and choke for Flutter to respawn, but that is also brilliant.
These are huge, and this composition brings something to the table that Hangzhou have not had in the previous two maps at all. Godspeed on a really powerful carry hero. He is destroying right now. I think he got most of the damage on Fleder when Fleder originally died, and then he picks off Lijiang and then picks off Izayaki. This guy is single-handedly holding back the Shanghai Dragons.
Godspeed, some people make the comment, you know, they say he's too good for that team, but me, you know, I say this is a team game, not an individual game, but
I think he's one of the hardest carry players that we have in the league, actually. And he's very underrated as well. People don't pay that much attention to him, but this guy slaps.
He does slap. He does indeed. Void trying to take the off angles. Nice ice wall blocks the accretion. And now Shanghai going to be taking a bit of a loop-de-loop approach as they work their way around onto the high ground once more. Just trying to basically ice wall them off. You can see them caught in the top right there. Caught against the wall. There's two battles going on at once now. The Dragon Strike is going to be splitting them off here as Godspeed just trying to buy time for his team to get in position and win these individual 1v1s that are occurring. Fleder's somewhere in the back line, and he finally drops down onto the point, but Bebe falling is not a good sign right now for the Hangzhou Spark. And he'll be missing the Discord Orb. Dora's able to even it out. Lip hunting for an opportunity on the flank.
Oh, that's great.
That is a wonderful headshot. The Dragon Strike going to be sent straight down the middle, splitting the point into two here.
Lip's flank has been fantastic to be able to pick up Bebe and then come back in and find the Orisa as well. But Shanghai have taken so long to be able to do this that Hangzhou are still getting up to their ultimates. If Rio's Flux can get something done, if they can finish off Void or Lijiang, they might be in a position to recontest.
Lip.
Not quite.
Uses the Storm Arrows to take out IDK. Move from the fight, and now they've gained positioning. The ice wall from Hangzhou, I believe it was just used to try and soak up some of the damage, but they are not in a position to recontest this one. Shanghai Dragons going to be capping it up in a pretty quick fashion. They have 4 minutes in their time bank now to work with. The Hangzhou Spark, well, in terms of ultimates, not too great actually either. Shanghai Dragons have the advantage when it comes to that.
I got to give credit to both of the Hanzos there. Godspeed held them off for so long, but Lip's flank was really what broke it for the Shanghai Dragons. Got in behind to where the Zenyatta loves to position on the high ground. Storm arrowed down Bebe, and then picks off the Orisa. That's huge. That just opens everything up. And now it's going to come down to ultimate exchanges here in the streets.
Yeah, supercharger by stand 1 utilized. It's just going to break forward. It's the spearhead of this attack, if you will. Bebe's going to fall onto the flank. Yeah, Hangzhou realized that they have nothing more to do than just try and fall on the point.
That's so rough though, because yeah, the Supercharger is a great ultimate. It's probably your second biggest ultimate outside of the Blizzard, arguably your biggest ultimate.
Sure.
But to lose a team fight and all of this momentum just based off the back of one ult, you didn't force anything else out of Shanghai. Shanghai now have a large ult advantage even coming into this fight, which is pivotal. Hangzhou have to win this fight if they want a decent defense.
I mean, the bad news about losing that team fight to just the Supercharger as well is it helps the rest of your team build up their ultimates just that much quicker as well. Shanghai are utilizing it, so you can see the amplification matrix is used. Now we see the Gravitic Flux being used. Bebe has to use the Transcendence to heal his team up. Dragon Strike splitting them up straight down the middle. And Gushwei was just wandering, however you want to call it, just straight into it. Gets taken out. Lip with the consistent damage from afar alongside Izayaki. Izayaki picking up 3 kills at the end of that engagement.
Great work from Shanghai, throwing in ultimates there, you know, utilizing the Gravitic Flux and the Blizzard at the same time so that the Transcendence from Bebe can't cancel out both of them. Avoids the damage from the Gravitic Flux, but then they all get frozen up and get caught in Lip's Dragon Strike. I love that ult investment from Shanghai because they keep this momentum going. Now the advantage is in favor of Hangzhou Spark. They've got some good ults to work with here, particularly that Blizzard. Blizzard and Flux. They've only got one chance to be able to counter it, but the time bank is still so large here for Shanghai. They won't even be mad if they lose this fight.
Rhea's going for some odd flanking maneuvers there. The accretion is going to be missing onto Void.
They're playing so spread out. Look at this, Brent. The Shanghai Dragons are incredibly split because they know that a Blizzard and a Flux are available for Hangzhou, and you just cannot catch them if they try to split out like this.
But look, oh my goodness, Hangzhou Spark, they don't want to use their ults because they're playing so split, but Izayaki is demolishing on the flank. They worked it around. Shanghai Dragons are just rolling it forwards. Hangzhou forced to use the ultimates in a suboptimal fashion, and they're paying the price. The ice wall is going to be pushing them back. Izayaki is an absolute monster. He's trying to go for these shots, mate. Beyond no Jonak at the end of the day. Bebe's going to be taking him out, and that may have given the Hangzhou Spark a bit of an in now. As long as they can clean up a couple of these players, Godsby is trying his wee little heart out, but not quite enough as the Hangzhou Spark are not going to be able to capitalize. And Shanghai with 2 minutes 26 seconds in their time bank.
The Shanghai Dragons' positioning there on attack was a masterclass in how to turn a situation from being an ult advantage for the defenders into being a very uncomfortable situation for them. Because they feel like they want to wait until Shanghai group up on the payload in order to use the Blizzard or the Flux. But Shanghai are playing only their Orisa on the card, the Mei and the Sigma off on another angle, and then they've got their Hanzo and their Zen just peppering from a different off angle, and it's impossible for Hangzhou to figure out what to do. They should have grouped up and just used their Flux or their Blizzard on one of those small groups of Shanghai and not worried about getting huge ultimates off, just trying to get a single pick. But Shanghai are thinking on another level there. I mean, that's... if you're playing ranked games at a high level and you're looking for how to coordinate with your team against ultimates, how to make a fight winnable when you have a large ultimate disadvantage, Shanghai Dragons have just written the blueprint on it. That positioning was sublime from them. They know exactly what the win conditions are for their opponents, and they outplay them repeatedly.
That's just fundamentals that have been drilled into them as well, though. It's one of the cornerstones that you need in any top team, is the ability to assess those situations and figure out the best way of fighting it out. That's why I'm so amazed every time we do watch Shanghai Dragons play. Been a fan of them since Season 1, no stranger.
Since Season 1.
And
oh, Bren, that's so sad that that's true.
yeah, well, on the defense now, Hangzhou opting for some changes. So Godspeed moves away from the McCree over to the Tracer. Door onto the Echo. Yeah, going to be going for a dive.
And this is the same composition that they used on Gibraltar. It's a little difficult, but Shanghai do have some vulnerable targets. Lip and Izayaki, but they're going to be playing inside these rooms, and it's hard for Hangzhou to really be able to get people into position. They can't really... the Echo can't flank behind. That's Godspeed's job. So, I don't know. I don't think that this makes theoretically that much sense until you have like a nano-boosted Winston in your face. So Bebe's the win condition here, in my opinion. Godspeed's just going to take too long to build that EMP.
Bebe's getting close to his nano. He's got it, pretty much. 96%, there you go, 100. Gushwen most likely going to be the recipient of it as they hunt for a target. Likely target, probably going to be Lip, I'd say. It's going to be one of the easiest dive targets.
Yeah.
Dora's still spamming in the sticky shots, and as you can see, Gushwen went for a
just
play.
getting melted. Absolutely melted. I don't think this variety of dive makes any sense on King's Row, because the way that the Shanghai Dragons are setting up, they have their supports in a very defensible corridor, and the only way to break it is by sending somebody on a flank behind to pressure the window at the back. There's like a little window that you can enter around the back. That's how Lip broke it on their attack. But nobody can do that. Adora's not going to do that. He's tethered to the Mercy, and he doesn't have burst damage.
Lip falls, which could be workable. As you can see, Adora's working on the flank right now. Oh my goodness, the focusing beam! It almost chunked down stand 1, but Izayaki or not Izayaki, Li Gong, I should say, on the Batiste was perfect with that immortality field, and now you can see them rolling it forward even further as the Hangzhou Spark positioning has been flipped just right around.
He is up, but Godspeed dies. Shanghai is so good at being able to hold on. Even though Lip dies, he can just come back on Tracer. And main Tracer's a very viable composition, and it gets him back in the fight so quickly.
Wow.
Izayaki's Transcendence there was clutch, but Hangzhou, they need to win the next fight. There is no debate about this. They must win the next fight with a Primal, with the Duplicate, and with the EMP. If this next fight isn't a win, then Shanghai have just full held, for sure.
Gotta make it work. Dora has the Duplicate.
Who do you duplicate here? Like maybe Void?
Void, I think. Yeah, you try and get the Sigma. Maybe Lip in a weird way on the Tracer, but I mean,
I don't think you can get the Tracer in position to get that much value out of her, though. Same with the Mei. I mean, maybe Orisa and try and get value out of the Supercharger, but I don't think that would work either.
Guxue frozen up, forced to use the Primal Rage just to try and survive. Create
EMP
space. EMP into the backline.
one.
That connects onto Izayaki. That was the target. Okay. Could be valuable. Depends how the Hangzhou Spark play around it now, because you can see Guxue is trapped in the close quarters, but his team are playing off of it. The revive comes out from IDK. I mean, he's just going for these instantaneously, and that is going to be rolling over the Shanghai Dragons. That was Hangzhou Spark spotting an opening and taking it.
Yeah, the EMP is such a large investment to be able to kill a Zenyatta without Transcendence that's on his own, but hell, a pick's a pick. That's, you know, that's what opens things up there. And the rest of the Hangzhou Spark got into position, and Adora clone stand 1 for that extra shield whilst they were on the high ground that stops the rest of his tanks getting melted. Triple tank, it's back, baby. And Echo's facilitating it.
Yeah, don't
spread that one
Don't let the
too far.
Overwatch League know. They might end up banning Echo permanently. We'll see.
Okay, Hangzhou though, they can't wait for another EMP. They can't wait for another huge ultimate advantage to be able to win. They need to be able to win these fights and continue the momentum.
Another Nanobus uses the Guxue to try and create some space here. Big Bionade onto Fleta, and a sleep, and the Blizzard coming out of
Huge
Fleta.
Bionade.
They force out a lot out of the Shanghai Dragons to try and defend this one. But the Shanghai Dragons ultimately looking like they're holding on. IDK again with another resurrect into the backline. Guxue will be
poor
coming
Bebe.
up. But
Bebe's just getting run down.
Yep, they just run straight into the backline. They're like, okay, if your entire team is behind us, we're just going to run forwards. I don't know how Bebe survives, but the Bionade is massive. Connecting onto 2 targets, and he set up Hangzhou perfectly. They wrap and collapse and pincer them. And Shanghai Dragons, they thought they were being clever. They thought they were being cerebral. Wasn't enough though, was it? Because the Hangzhou Spark, they came swinging, they came knocking like a bunch of debt collectors. They were hunting.
IDK got a res on Guxue and then comes in and saves Bebe, but Bebe broke the Shanghai Dragon's ankles. Yeah. He was zipping and zapping through the bookstore, and Shanghai had no idea where he was going.
And he got the 2-man Bionade.
Yeah, Bebe and IDK just clutched that fight, and I don't know how it happened. Like, how do you lose track of an Ana that you're hunting down? He gave him the zig and zag through the bookstore.
Well, Guxue has another Primal Rage, to no one's surprise. And now he's going straight in, but I think he expects the Nanoboost, maybe? Well, his team's there to back him up regardless. The Coalescence is going to be used by Izayaki to try and get a pick, keep the team alive, using that extra heals. Sticky Bomb's doing a decent amount of damage. Nanoboost comes down. Guxue is using that bubble to try and break up some of the line of sight from the shields. Or from the heals, I should say. Primal Rage isn't getting too much value. Battering a couple of the players around. Lip forced to use his recall. Shanghai Dragons look like they're in a very solid position to win this one out, despite the fact that Bebe got a nice little Bionade there. IDK goes for another ballsy res, but Shanghai Dragons in the kill feed.
Incredibly solid position there for the Shanghai Dragons. EMP was what they used to open the fight up, but Izayaki was not caught in it, and he was able to coalesce, and the entirety of Shanghai just backed off with all of that healing, and the EMP was utterly wasted. Adora copied a Mei, which got nothing done. Guxue's Primal got completely baited out as well, and the supports just ran rings around him. Just a perfect kiting of ultimates there from Shanghai to set them up for the win on King's Road.
There you go, just like that. And Shanghai Dragons going to be taking it in a 3-0 fashion. I think they can be quite pleased with that one, especially off of their loss the other day. It means now for the May standings, they're going to be 1-1. Still a lot of matches to be played as well next week, of course, that are going to be affecting the seeding of the May tournament in terms of where teams place. The opportunity is still there to get the #1 seed in the Asian tournament side.
Yep.
for Shanghai, so it's not lost. Same for Hangzhou Spark, as they're currently 1-1 right now, currently. But that was just a dominating performance from Shanghai.
It was, and I think that you can see that the Shanghai Dragons are not slumping. That isn't the reason even slightly that they lost yesterday to the Seoul Dynasty. It was Seoul Dynasty stepping up to their level. Shanghai put on a masterclass today. The way that they played around ults was sublime. And Lip, this guy, again and again, just performs at an enormously high level.
Yeah, Lip being our player of the match, I can appreciate this one. I feel like you could have given it to a variety of people on Shanghai, but it's most evident that Lip has so much impact when he plays the game for Shanghai. He's the one who's facilitating a lot of these plays. And Fletter, despite the fact that he's got this reputation around him of being, this person who deadlifts, his team, he's now in a system where he doesn't need to do that. So he can honestly just be enabled by the great team play, the Shanghai Dragons. You're just seeing it come to life before our very eyes. Wonderful play all around.
I think Lip, as a rookie coming in, has become the power player for the Shanghai Dragons. And Fletter is more of the flexible guy alongside him that can play any hero and is the second hitter, but can still punch at a very powerful kind of level. So Flair and Lip alongside each other just cover every DPS combination you could possibly imagine, and at a really, really high level. I want to also throw out a shout out to Lijiang throughout this match, because playing against the Sombra is difficult. And the way in which the Shanghai Dragons completely shut down Godspeed whenever he was going for these Sombra plays, I think a lot of that came down to Lijiang. He's a guy that makes a lot of risky plays, for sure. He goes out there and sometimes just gets picked right immediately at the front of the fight. But as soon as he tones that down, he's a sublime player. He really is incredibly talented, and his raw mechanical skill is paired alongside impeccable game sense for playing against situations like the Sombra, situations that he's been in many times before at a tier 2 level.
Yeah, Lijiang possibly, could have got the player of the match in a different universe if Josh was feeling benevolent enough, but alas, was not to be today. Was not to be. But if you're just joining us, we do have even more Overwatch to be played. After the break, we're going to be going up with our final series of the Asian matches. It is going to be London versus Guangzhou. Do not go anywhere. That's going to be coming up after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
All right then, what's the crack? What's going on? Let's have a look at the game that we're going to be going into. My name's Brennan Hook. I'm joined by Joshua Wilkinson, and we're going to be looking at some Overwatch here today. London Spitfire versus the Guangzhou Spark. We saw London. They came out of hiding, Josh. They came out of the darkness, the depths of Overwatch scrims, and they have arrived as a meaty opposition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thoroughly confused because I think you just saw London Spitfire on the screen and decided to open up with a very British intro, and then you called the team the Guangzhou Spark. I've no idea what that team is at all.
Okay.
But just to clarify for everybody, it's
honestly, though, for real,
Guangzhou Charge.
There's only so many times you can use the excuse, it's 2 a.m. Until it becomes old and people are just like, when are they going to get rid of this guy? Because I swear down, I mess up every single time we cast
well,
some
don't
of the
worry
Asian
about
games. Without fail. I'm going to start getting self-conscious about it.
Okay, no, never get self-conscious about it. I love the slip-ups because they highlight how good I am. So. All right, yeah, I agree with you though. Let's focus in on London because that team, we didn't see them for 10 weeks, and then they come out and they batter the Chengdu Hunters. That's very impressive.
Yeah, a couple of new names. We've got Glister, although, well, Glister's not a new name, but although is going to be making my life a bit of a pain to cast. Although, you know, I don't really use the word although in casts a lot, but I feel like now I'm definitely going to feel like I want to. Yeah, I mean, now I will.
You better do.
But I was thoroughly impressed by the way that this team played, at least the other day, against Chengdu, especially Chengdu, a team that can take some teams off guard a little bit. I did see some people online say, wow, London are playing really well for a team that hasn't played Overwatch in 10 weeks. No, I think they have played Overwatch, just not in the Overwatch League. They've still been practicing. They've still been practicing.
Yeah. Now, there have been, you know, they've been one of those teams that's transported over to Korea and set up a new base over there. So there must have been some disruption to their practice schedule. It is impressive that they've come out and performed that well, especially against a team, you know, like Chengdu that can throw upsets in there.
On the other side of things, you've got the Guangzhou Charge. And then, of course, Eileen, Nero, the usual names, the usual suspects, but still no Neptuno, if you're wondering where he is. Well, he's currently watching, I think, from Spain. Say hello to Neptuno, everybody, in the chat. And, instead Chara's going to be playing. Neptuno's getting his visa again for Korea in the meantime. And we're going to be heading into the match. Map pool-wise, first map we're going to be seeing is Oasis. And the teams are going to be getting ready to attack.
Now, Guangzhou, we saw in their recent demolition, actually, of the NYXL, that they are comfortable playing both Sombra Tracer Dive with Nero and Eileen looking fantastic on their respective roles, and also really comfortable playing the double shield. This is a very well-rounded team. Whereas the London Spitfire have really only showcased double shield so far. Their map pool when they played against Chengdu was specifically good for double shield and didn't offer them very much dive opportunities. So as this game progresses, I'm interested to see how the meta evolves between these two teams. Because at the moment, I mean, Rio just got stuck out by a Maywall there, and that is a bad beginning for Guangzhou. The double shield, much more preferable in that situation.
You got yoinked back by J-Max Holt, and once you're pulled in that position and you already have used your leap, you can't really disengage too easily. That means that the London Spitfire are going to be able to cap up this point. They are going to be the first ones on it, and they have a very defensible position. Once you have control of the point with this composition with the double shield, it can be quite hard to dislodge you. The Guangzhou Charge is going to be hunting for a couple of hack targets here.
Yeah, the hack target is really, really crucial. Although, what a kill. This guy's ice aim is low-key kind of nutty. Although is not somebody that we've talked about very much in the league whatsoever. But I was watching him when he played recently against Chengdu, and his ice aim on May was really clean. So I'm wondering whether that can translate to more than just one match. If he continues to get picks like that, though, with Nero, a good icicle could shut down a whole push here for Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah, it truly, truly can. Those being on it. Eileen will be popping that translocator down, and now the dive attempt comes through as they try and take out J-Mac. J-Mac using that 4-5, but he was hacked. He was hacked, which means no more shields. to take away some of that damage, take away some of the brute force that the Guangzhou Charge have been initiating into them with. And they've already got another pick there onto Aldo, taking out the May player. Always a good sign. And Glista just left searching for a couple of targets, but realizes it's futile. Has to go back to the rest of his team.
Guangzhou's composition is very good at being able to take control of the point as well. It's good for space control too. And the London Spitfire are actually going to make changes here. Moving from the Sigma over to the Diva, that's a little bit better at being able to control Rio and eat some of these orbs that are coming out from Shu as well. But the Glista change onto Torb is really interesting. It's very tanky, very difficult to break, but it does remove some of the powerful first pick potential that Glista has been so notorious for so far.
Yeah. Mitigates a bit of the Sombra play as well to a degree, and the Tracer play actually. I do like the Torb pick. The Force Bomb comes down, it does connect onto J-Mac. J-Mac's going to get healed right back. Now Guangzhou obviously still in control of the point, have a couple of ultimates to use, but they haven't been forced to use them. That's the key difference between these two teams thus far.
Glista's been hitting a crazy amount of shots, and
Blizzard.
Krong, beautiful eat on the Blizzard. That's fantastic. That's the kind of clutch play you need if you're the Guangzhou Charge. And a 4-man EMP comes straight back in. But Sanguinar, really nice reply, and Hailey also has his support on.
Well, Glista actually did just break Rio's ankles then. I thought he was gone, I thought he was off the map, but he ended up working his way back to the rest of his team, and now we see the Coalescence being used by London. Eileen goes down from the stray Moira orb. Shu forced to use his fade to try and get to safety, but Hailey finds another kill with the Moira orb. He's getting all of these picks. I mean, I know who's getting a player of the game at the end of it, isn't it? It's going to be Hailey with these ones, dude. He's just giving them the beat down.
The rest of the London Spitfire, I think the London Spitfire have got some kind of bet going where they're trying to feed Hailey as many stat padding situations as they possibly can. I swear the rest of the London Spitfire were not shooting those players just so that Hailey could get the kills.
That's amazing.
Just trying to charge up his coalescence,
maybe?
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's almost too high level. You know, sometimes
really
they just want
That's
to secure the kill
too
at that point. But we can see Guangzhou Charge. They're forced to re-engage this one now after Hailey just popped off using his raw mechanical abilities as Moira.
London are just totally pushing them out though. That Supercharger,
yeah.
Guangzhou can't contest. And the next fight, they're going to have Torb Ultimate and they're going to have the Blizzard. So this is a really rough situation for Guangzhou. Their EMP is miles away. They've got to find a dive target and fast.
Well, a little bit of a yoink there. I think it disjointed Rio's leap. Pulse Bomb comes out from Nero. No target's going to be found with that one. Guangzhou still hunting for that first opening pickoff. See the Molten Cores laid down, so it's going to be a lot of just consistent damage over time going to be occurring if they choose to walk over it. Glista now popping that overload, hunting for a target once more. Now Rio using his Primal Rage, just trying to batter the targets into close quarters, trying to find a pickoff, but they're still not getting it. London holds strong. The overtime now burning. Rio with the Primal Rage fading, his bubble getting burst. Falling
EMP
down,
though,
but he'll
right
back
at the
up.
end.
Great EMP from Eileen, but Sanguinar comes back in with his own sound barrier, and now the fight might just be turning in their favor. Guangzhou Charge going to be utilizing their own sound barrier, but it's Glista, the one who's firing the molten lead straight into the cranium. Rio falls. Now they're going to be hunting for hopefully one more pickoff here. Glista going down to half HP, lays down the turret. Still an opportunity to try and turn this fight, but Nero's the one who clutches it up, gets the post-bomb kill onto Sanguinar now. Still could be anyone's game. Glista now building up another ultimate. The Molten Core not going down just yet. He's waiting for the defense matrix to go down, and now finally lets it loose onto the point. Guangzhou Charge, they cannot touch it, and the point begins to start to flip over, but Guangzhou still in the battle. Self-destruct's now being utilized. Nero finding picks left, right, and center. 75 HP and a dream. Going for the D-Mech targets, trying to hunt down the kills. Still, London do not want to give this up. They switched over now to the stall targets.
Eileen's about to get another EMP, Brent.
Eileen almost up to that EMP, 96%. J-Mac now trying to go for the power drive. The mines come out. He built them fast enough. He's just switched over to the Wrecking Ball and still found it. Now the Blizzard by London unleashed onto the point, although trying to lock them up. But Rio, look at the Primal Rage. Look at the skills. 2 kills already. The overtime going down. Bernard comes in with the bomb though. Collects the kill onto Chara now, and they're going to be hunting for one more. Can London turn this one? The Coalescence fades away for them, but the Guangzhou Charge are in control complete control. Sanguinar using the beat, but it only connects onto him. One singular target, and the Guangzhou Charge end up turning the fight and taking round number 1. What an absurd team fight.
That was nuts towards the end there. The fact that Guangzhou were able to even stall that out for long enough for Eileen to be able to get his ultimates up, for Chara and Shu to be able to get their ults, and Nero stayed alive throughout, that's spectacular play coming out from the Guangzhou Charge. I thought that they would try and find a very quick dive target before the ults came up for London Spitfire, but Guangzhou had the exact opposite idea. Drag out that overtime, give time for Eileen's EMP to come up, and slowly chunk away at the London Spitfire. London made them work for it, though. I was not expecting this game to be this close. I thought that Guangzhou would be fairly heavy favorites coming into this match. If the rest of it's like this, we've got a game on our hands.
Yeah, this is going to be ridiculous. Both teams now going to be heading to the point. You can see Guangzhou still running with the dive-esque composition. London going for the double shield. They're going to be taking the high ground around, searching for a head shuttle too. Dive attempt by Guangzhou as they dislodge them away from the high ground. That's actually just trying to take space away from Glister. Don't give him the high ground because you don't want to give him the opportunity to pop off and just lay down these shots. Force him to play with his team, but he hits heads like that. Nero was made into mincemeat. Put up into a Tesco meal deal, if you will. And now, Glister, with that one opening damage, Sanguinar claiming the pick-off, it means London are able to capitalize and take this point for them.
Those are some strong allegations.
I mean, mate, there was horse meat, you know, there was this, there was that, and the other.
Don't bring it up, don't bring it up.
Okay, sorry.
Oh my word. Okay, yeah, London's comp though, as soon as you get in control here, with Glister on the high ground, this is going to be hard for Guangzhou to push. They've shown that they're capable, but a Coalescence coming in here, they need a good hack. If they don't have a hack onto somebody and an opportunity to burn somebody down,
nice hack on J-Mac. That's actually excellent.
Pretty good. He can't fortify.
He doesn't have to fortify, but the Immortality Field comes out now from London. So highly going to be using that to stop a bit of the damage going through, force him to back off. Now we see an amplification matrix being used by Highly. Glister needs to try and hunt for these headshots, but look at Guangzhou, the way they're playing. Passive, they can't play into this window. That's okay. Now working their way around. As you can see Shu just taking the high ground. Unleashing an orb or two. Guangzhou finding that opening pick, but traded out as Rio will fall.
Control over the high ground there, absolutely crucial for Guangzhou to be able to drop and find that pick. And now they're in a great position. They have control over the point, and it's London that are forced to push through these tiny choke points where Rio just gets infinite cleave damage on them.
Yep. And if they win this team fight out now, Guangzhou, that's realistically going to be best case scenario for them. They don't want to commit this EMP because they want to be saving it. Although it's getting a bit hairy, dicey if you will. London just trying to essentially stall themselves out onto the point, trying to reset onto the point, but 75% now for London. And Guangzhou, the position that they're in, if you look at the ult bank, they're not in a terrible scenario, but they are battling back.
Yeah, and Glister again makes this swap over to the Torbjorn. Glister was hitting a lot of shots on the Torb, but I don't think that it really stopped Guangzhou that much. Guangzhou are very good at being able to play the slow game, prioritizing on taking out the turrets, being able to be in a good position before they actually engage. The ults are really important here for Guangzhou. They need to be able to win cleanly without using too many.
The EMP comes out, but Sanguinar answers back with his own sound barrier. The sound barrier only connects onto 3 targets, so not that great for London. Guangzhou, a couple of ults used. You can see Rio use the Primal Rage, and that actually does force London from, or prevents them from playing onto the point. They don't want to get knocked off the edge of the map. Fades eventually though, as most things do in life, and see Rio just holding this corner, holding this angle, waiting for London to try and slip up here. Maybe step 1 foot too far forward onto the point. Chara waiting for an opportunity to see. Now the opportunity is present. Coalescence is going to be used, just cleaving through them. Shu puts in so much damage. London Spitfire used their supercharger, but it was taken down almost instantly. Now it's a rumble in the pits of Oasis. No one really finding the casualties, but Guangzhou Charge, it feels like they are the ones on top.
Oh, bye-bye.
Rio builds up another Primal Rage, and he's just going to start playing a game of bowling, if you will, knocking the target straight off the edge of the map. Nice scores
I'm
by
so
Rio.
confused. I'm so confused as to what the London Spitfire were doing in that fight. They played really slow, which only benefits the Guangzhou Charge. And then they didn't prioritize the high ground at all in that fight. Just kept trying to run their Mei and Torbjorn down through the low ground. It was only when the fight was basically already lost that they tried to transition up onto the high ground. And then they threw in ults anyway and have now swapped over to a dive comp.
Well, overtime's ticking. We see the EMP utilised. London come back with their own soundbite. Sanguinar connected onto everyone who's still alive, but J-Mac is no longer in the fight. Once again, the overtime is burning. Nero moving over to the Tracer now, just trying to collect these kills. Beautiful tracking. Almost locking onto Sanguinar there. Gives him the beat down as well. He's going to find another one as well. You know, Tracer, she doesn't look like she packs a punch, but she certainly does when she's in the hands of Nero. He's finding so many opportunities, and that is going to be the Guangzhou Charge taking map number 1. What a ridiculous game there. London slightly crumbling towards the end.
Yep, I've got some questions about London's shot calling in that second round for sure. But you got to say that first round really could have gone either way. We certainly could have seen ourselves going to a three-round Oasis. Yeah, that was not out of the question in the slightest. And so I hope that the London Spitfire can continue to keep their heads high and find opportunities in this game. The map pool is pretty good for being able to play double shield, which it seems that London is favoring. So I think there will be opportunities back into this series for them. Certainly not out of it just yet, but showcasing a little bit less experience just generally, not even just on the compositions, but just in terms of their shot calling and their adaptability in game compared to these long-time players on the Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, going to have map 2 of this series, Junkertown, coming up after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renter's insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
LA evening and night. Just messing with you. It's not Mitch, it's me, Brad. Ha, got you.
I actually thought that was a South African accent when you began.
Yeah,
I was confused as to who
honestly,
you were doing an interpretation of.
It wasn't that great. I've been practicing my accents. Haven't been paying off that well, though. Yeah, because
Can you give me a Matt Morello? I found Matt Morello to be quite a difficult accent to pin down.
Well, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, you know, the London Spitfire, they try to go in there and Glista, you hit a couple of shots and, like, It's great play.
I love the use of the word like. Apart from that, just indistinguishable from the real thing. Just perfect. Absolutely perfect across the board. There's no way anyone would have been able to tell.
Yep. Well, here we have it. Map number 2 coming up between the London Spitfire and the Guangzhou Charge. Contrary to popular belief, not known as the Guangzhou Spark. That was a made-up team. But yes, these two teams have been battling it out, and we've seen almost clashes between playstyles between these two teams, between London and Guangzhou. But now we're going to be heading to a map that is very different from a lot of other maps. It's Junkertown, and you see some wacky compositions on Junkertown.
Well, you were talking earlier about the double sniper and how you really like that composition, but you only see it here. And I feel like we might have a possibility of seeing that from the Guangzhou Charge, because they have substituted in Happy. And this guy spanks on Widowmaker. He's so good.
Yes.
He's maybe the league's best. I struggle to be able to apply that label because we haven't had a Widowmaker meta in so long. But, you know, people like DM, Happy. I mean, you've got to throw in, like, Shore in there as well, honestly, because he's just been spectacular whenever he's had an opportunity to play that. Ants from the San Francisco Shock. These are all players that you've got to have up there. But Happy, certainly, statistically, is up there as potentially the best Widowmaker that we have in the league. And he's going to replace Eileen to play this May Widowmaker composition. For the London Spitfire, they do make a substitution as well. But they're not worried about Widowmaker because Glister's got that on lockdown. But it's Krillin that comes in.
Okay, interesting.
Krillin. So that indicates to me that they're going to try and play double flex support this entire time, just resting on Zen Batiste. They're not worried about Lucio, so they don't need Sanguinar.
That's definitely an interesting one. So Happy, as you can see, he just was playing the Hangzhou just to get a bit of information. Using that recon arrow, switches back over to the Widowmaker now. He's going to be working the angles, and this is what Junkertown's all about. It's so big, so wide, that you can get these tiny angles, and all you need is an instant. When you're playing Widowmaker, all you need is the smallest of moments, and you can just create magic, and that's what Happy is going to attempt to do. He goes to the jump shot, but you can see Glister is just avoiding his line of sight. So right now, Happy doesn't know quite where he is. He's finally seen the line of shot. He saw that trace shot, but look at this. While that was going on, Glister wins the 1v1, and now he has free reign on this point. He can start peppering in damage from on high. A dangerous position to be in if you're the Guangzhou Charge. It's difficult to try and push this one forward because look at Glister. He's just able to find shot after shot after shot. He's going to find a headshot onto Rio as well. And Josh, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very happy. We're seeing a lot of Widowmaker.
Widowmaker's a great hero to spectate at all times. And now we're going to have another 1v1 between Glister and Happy. Happy didn't really get much done whatsoever in that fight. Glister's such a spectacular player, a true Rookie of the Year candidate that we thought coming into this year might be, you know, up there because he can play everything. Yeah. He can play the hit scan, the projectile. Very, very talented. And now we're seeing what his Widowmaker is capable of as well, up against a truly elite level talent in the Overwatch League. But so far, he's 1-0, holding his own and more.
So difficult against a lot of these high-end teams because, especially with Sigma on the field, you're going to see those shields helping and assisting their Widowmaker players. But look at the angle now that Glister's taking from on high here. Both Widowmakers don't really want to try and take this 1v1 because if they take a 1v1 and lose, then it just gives the other one free reign, a completely open sightline.
Yeah, and the attackers can take more risks, but for Glister, if he dies, that's game over. So he definitely wants to take a more passive position and force Happy to push into him where he has the advantage and can get his team to help.
Glister's so weak there, has to grapple shot away. Oh, but a nasty headshot there. Almost bringing down Highly. Highly ended up using the amplification matrix. That was an odd blizzard, but okay.
It's a flanking blizzard from Although. Forces out Transcendence from Shu. Shu wins the 1v1 against Although, and Guangzhou Charge have just split across the map so far that they've caused chaos everywhere.
What a bizarre series of events that's occurred right there, and Happy still in this original position here. Guangzhou Charge trying to win this war that's occurring on the front line, so to speak. Glister, though, he ends up going down here to Shu, and Happy brings down Krillin, so Shu ends up taking the brunt force of the work by removing that Widowmaker, and now Happy's allowed to play some much more aggressive angles. He's beginning to work his way around this point. The rest of the Guangzhou Charge are going to start to work forwards. Bernardo trying to change things around using the kinetic grasp, going to be eating up a bit of damage, but eventually will fall here. Now Glister, realistically, not much he can do in this scenario.
Well, while we were hyping up Happy and talking about how incredible he has been in the past, Honestly, that was Shoot that opened everything up. And I don't just mean with the pick onto Glister. He was slinging his orbs all over the place, even before that, in the previous fights, getting picks all over. And the Guangzhou Charge, the reason that they spread out so far is so that they could escort Shu and Nero into great positions to be able to help in that Widowmaker duel and try and find angles themselves, because Nero and Shu both have no fall-off damage on their weapons too, so very long-range friendly composition that the Guangzhou Charge are running, and it's all about position. They do a good job on point one.
Both teams are going to be keeping with the Widowmakers here. Sometimes you see teams switch it up because the sight lines don't really suit it. It's a bit of a U-bend around this corner. Nice Ice Wall is going to be blocking off Rio, but gets destroyed in the end, so the Guangzhou Charge peeling for their team, but now they're going to be waiting out J-Max Supercharger. That's the name of the game right now for the Charge. They don't want to be pressing into it. You can see it fades away, which is now going to be the opportunity for Guangzhou to try and push again.
That's unfortunate. Just as the Supercharger disappears, Glister finds another headshot kill on Happy. Glister's dominating this Widowmaker 1v1 at the moment. And then as soon as he's not worried about Happy, he continues to blast everybody else. How did Happy get back in the fight so quickly? That's crazy. He was just coming off the respawn and found an angle onto Glister.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. I mean, again, if you can find the grapple maybe up onto the high ground, you can just get a nice little narrow sight line, and that's exactly what he does. He's going to be hunting for another one, but the Sigma Shield blocks it, so Bernard was there. Now he's going to be hunting for a little bit more. Almost has the Infrasight, the wall hacks, but so does Happy. Well, Glister's almost got it, I should say. So as soon as one person activates it, Glister activates it as well. So almost negating each other with the ultimates. You can see them utilizing it that way.
Yeah, it's probably the best way to use Infrasight. Make sure that you never have a disadvantage. That's how you should be playing the defensive Widowmaker. These default fights, though, when the Widows aren't really having that much impact, they have been going the way of the London Spitfire. Guangzhou have found it difficult to push into this double shield setup. And it is defensive favored, but London's execution so far has been pretty good. They haven't used too many ultimates. They've held on. They've just made it difficult for Guangzhou.
Yeah, and
at some point with the time ticking down, they might be thinking about swapping Happy over to something else. Maybe a Hangzhou to help in the shield war?
Yeah, maybe, but I gotta say, often in this scenario when you're playing against a Widowmaker, if you give them free reign like this, it's brutal. You almost have to rely on your Widowmaker to try and hit somebody's shots and take out the opposing Widowmaker just so you can stand a chance in it. I really don't feel comfortable, at least, if I was Happy switching off of it, but you can see the Blizzard being utilized here. Both teams exchanging Blizzards in close quarters, so it's a bit of chaos that's occurring. Transcendence forced out of Krillin there. Glister taking a very aggressive angle, but he was pushed back almost immediately. But we're in the final few seconds now, Josh.
Yeah, and the Guangzhou Charge have got a Gravitic Flux to be able to work with, and this Transcendence. The Transcendence could be huge. It can counter what Bernard's working with and allow them an opportunity to just push in through the choke point.
See, although he turned his head at the key moment because he saw Happy going for the jump shot, didn't want to give him an easy headshot. Just little moments like that that really highlight how good these players are. What an accretion from Chrome. He cancels the Gravitic Flux, and now he's going to send up one of his own. This is wonderful. Dodges Bernard's own stun. So gets off his own Gravitic Flux and gets the kill onto Hailey. He might have just cracked this one wide open. Glister, though, wins the 1v1 in the back line, and it still could be winnable when Widowmaker is on the field. Krong, though, is certainly making it difficult for them. He's working his magic. The Hypersphere is doing a lot of work, but the London Spitfire are battling back. The Supercharger is far too much damage to try and overcome. And they are just a few short moments away. There's only 2 players of Guangzhou remaining on the cart. They are going to get eaten up and demolished. Happy now trying to clutch it up onto the Tracer, but not going to be happening. London Spitfire going to be holding them here in the second phase of Junkertown.
I'm so impressed with what London Spitfire were doing there. Just playing really tight, really together, and not giving any openings to Happy. I do feel like they had to make a swap there towards the end. Because, okay, Widowmaker's quite volatile. You know, you can be getting your head kicked in constantly for 4 minutes and then suddenly just turn on and just be on fire. But when I don't think Happy got a single kill onto Glister. I think that Happy was losing the 1v1 fairly regularly because he's having to push in, and the offensive Widow has to take these riskier angles. And then Guangzhou, in the 5v5 rest of the fight, were not being able to do anything either because they are worried constantly about going into Glister's sightlines. So If Happy had made a transition over to a Hangzhou, utilizing the Sonic Arrow to be able to keep track of where the Widowmaker is, or, you know, you're still able to take that sniper fight to some extent, but you can also contribute to the shield fight, or even if Happy had swapped over to the Tracer, played a Mei Tracer, and just tried to harass and play at a much higher tempo, and swap, you know, onto a Lucio Batiste composition instead, that, I think, would have offered more opportunities, which, okay, benefit of hindsight, you can now say that might have been the better plan. But that was not a good offense by the Guangzhou Charge. They got stifled at every corner.
Well, the map's not over yet, Josh. Still London with an opportunity to push this one in, and still an opportunity for Guangzhou to try and hold them. I can say as well, I can speak for the mentality of a Widowmaker player, because it's pretty much the only hero I play these days. When you start losing a Widowmaker 1v1, you don't want to switch off of it, because it's
especially when you're a specialist like Happy.
Yes, it's admitting defeat to a rookie, and that can, well, you can almost get in your own head to a degree. But now it's Happy's turn. He has the advantage of being on the defense, so it's Glister who's the one who has to work his way into some of these odd angles.
Happy, though, is a naturally very aggressive Widowmaker player, and so he tends to take a few more risks, which is not the way that you want to play if you're on defense. So I'm cautious here. I don't want him to get in his own head too much and take aggressive angles and end up dying.
Guangzhou Charge are doing a good job, actually, of taking control of that corner, because they don't want to give it to Glister. Glister goes for the jump shot, doesn't find anything. The Holt connected a little bit too late there. If J-Mac managed to pull them together, it could have been an opportunity to find a shot. Happy just wiggling his way through the tunnels. Nice little shot there onto Krillin. Finds it almost instantly. The Hypersphere is going to be pulling him back, though. But Krillin going down means that the London have lost the player, but no one's contesting the point.
Hello?
Hello? Anybody? You want to touch it right now, please? Can start contesting. Lister is getting away with murder as well. Look at this angle he's taking. He's working with the rest of his team, and now they've worked their way and flipped the positioning around, taking it away from them. Highly now using his amplification matrix. The window comes up. Happy ends up falling. Guangzhou Charge are going to have to try and hold this one now without their Widowmaker player.
This is so risky for the Guangzhou Charge to be playing like this. You can't allow your opponents to just dictate the positioning this much. They might be able to win the fight generally at the end of it because they're getting a lot of damage onto everybody, but no, the London Spitfire being able to turn it, Bernard just stays alive somehow, and Glister's getting pick after pick. The Glister was personally escorted by 5 members of the Secret Service into the Guangzhou Charge's backline and proceeded to tear them a new one. That's a really lovely strat from London, but there is a counter to it. The Guangzhou Charge have to be playing further up and stopping the other 5 players of London to just rotate around the map. You can't allow them just to walk through you like that.
I've been in this position that Happy's in. Maybe not with these same stakes, but I've been
just getting boomed.
I've been in this position where you play against a Widowmaker who's just getting the better of you, and it is quite literally it's mental warfare after a certain point. Now Happy's going to be using his infrasight. Glister does not have his built yet, so he has a slight advantage of this. He's going to be buying a couple of seconds, but the question is, what does he do then when Glister eventually builds him up and just pops it straight afterwards? Because then it's him with the advantage. So Happy's just hunting for any angle he can find. He's starting to finally take a bit of space here. Look how forward Nero's playing. Right up close. And he's going to try and collect the kill there onto the off-tank. Bernard caught out of position, but Glister now using his infrasight right now, so trying to hunt for a head. It's a bit of a funny angle to try and find a kill from, but the infrasight will be fading. And Guangzhou have taken the high ground away from London, so this is quite smart from them.
The positioning for London on the defense was perfect, and the way that Glister was playing minimized risk. For Guangzhou Charge, they are taking much riskier angles, perhaps because they know that they need to dominate in terms of the time bank, not just win normally. Glister with many opportunities to be able to find picks. He's already found one on Chara earlier on.
Happy's got to come up clean here. He has to get a pick, but look at the kills. It's flowing in for London. Guangzhou are being picked to pieces. Happy brings down J-Mac, but what can one man do when he's got double shields in his face? Highly with the amplification matrix, pumps in the damage, and just like that, the London Spitfire take away Junkertown, and they're going to even it up 1-1.
Well, the London Spitfire have had 10 weeks of practice. We haven't seen them, apart from yesterday, we haven't seen them since week 4. And we are now in week 14. And my God, do they look practiced on Junkertown. The positioning was perfect. The way that Glister was playing around his abilities and playing the sightlines was perfect. the Guangzhou Charge just got absolutely outplayed on that map. And not even in terms of the mechanics, really, even though Glister was hitting great shots. It was the way, the strategic, slow method in which they maneuvered around the map and took the best positions possible to give themselves the advantage in the fights. That's what won it for the London Spitfire.
London really looking like they're coming together as a team over these last couple of weeks, practicing together. We're going to be discussing that in detail and more after the break, so don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome everybody back to the game break presented by Cheesy Grooves. And we've got a lot to break down actually, as the series that we're watching currently, the London Spitfire versus the Guangzhou Charge. It's 1-1, and honestly, Guangzhou Charge weren't looking too hot on that last map of Junkertown. Very back and forth between these two teams thus far.
It has been very back and forth. You know, London Spitfire kept the first round of Oasis incredibly close and then flopped in the second, but looked incredibly practiced when it came to Junkertown. So this looks to be a bit of a map-specific thing for them. And Junkertown's a weird one because it doesn't play similarly to any other map in the pool. Yeah. There isn't really another map in the pool where you'll see a May Widowmaker throughout the entire map. At least I can't think of one, not as far as I'm aware. So the lessons of Junkertown, I'm not sure will really carry through to the second half, but it does bode well for London that they have some set strats, you know, subbing in Krillin, making sure that everybody's on the same page, and their execution was really clean.
Yes, I got to say, watching the Guangzhou Charge as well play on Junkertown as a map, there's no doubt that that team has a ton of individual talent, but the Guangzhou Charge have always struck me as a team that they rely on their individual talent a lot. And sometimes when London come in with the better rotations, with a better game plan of how to enable Glister more, despite the fact that some would argue, okay, there's an argument to be made that Glister's Widowmaker is one of his best roles currently that he plays, but going up against Happy, one of the league's best Widowmakers, if not the best, but still managing to find that Glister gets the overwhelming dominance over him. It's something to be said about the approach that London have going into this series compared to Guangzhou, where they seem to be very much focused on a lot of individual plays.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up as well, because that's what I want to go through in my crunch time, presented by Cheez-It Grooves as well. I want to go through how the London Spitfire were making so much space for Glister here, because yeah, he dominated the head-to-head, but I saw a couple of people in the YouTube chat saying, you know, Glister's aim is incredible. It's not so much his aim, although that is amazing, but it's the way that his team facilitated. So here you can see them taking the Widowmaker head-to-head, but generally speaking, Happy, who's over here, is going to be playing behind this box, so they can't really find opportunities. So instead what they do is the London Spitfire, they kite this aggression that comes out from Krong and Nero, and then as they maneuver themselves around, they push Glister into great positions. What I want to point out here as well, though, is that normally what would happen is you play your Widowmaker at the back here, you play both supports and your Orisa over here as another 3. So you've got 1 at the back, you've got 3 over there, and then you play your Sigma and your Mei over here, like a 1-3-2 kind of split for your team. And instead, what they've done is these 2 players that would normally be over here, that's Krong and Nero, have backed off all the way around to sync up with the rest of their team. And that's just created all of this free space around the back. And Banar, along with Glister, are going to take all of this space, and they're just going to push around. And what that does is this poor little Widowmaker here of Happy has to worry about angles coming in, has to worry about spam angles from Banar, has to worry about Glister position somewhere around here as well, has to worry about angles coming in from here, with Krillin on the Zen. It makes it very, very difficult to be able to play the Widowmaker on defense once you give up this kind of back area of Junkertown. And I don't know why Guangzhou backed off to this kind of level. Yeah. Why did they give all of this space, especially with Krillin going down? This is kind of the opportunity for Guangzhou Charge to go aggressive, and you still see that they made the big wraparound up to contest the high ground. This is just essentially giving up all of this space, and Guangzhou chose the exact wrong defensive move at the wrong time, gave up all of that area, and allowed London Spitfire just control over the fights. And that honestly kind of extended even towards point B as well when they maneuvered over there. They weren't contesting the correct areas of Junkertown. They didn't look as practiced as the London Spitfire, and Glister benefited massively from being escorted personally into the best positions possible.
Yeah, very interesting to see it play out during the match live, and glad you broke it down for all of our YouTube chatters, I suppose. That's
YouTube
what they call
chatters.
Chatters.
Yep.
YouTube chatters. I'm from Gloucester, I am. Hi. Yep, letting my roots slip into the cast a little bit there. You don't see that every day. But we still have a series ahead of us because,
yes,
you know, it is first to 3, as we've said, so potentially a couple of maps ahead of us here tonight between these 2 teams. But from what we've seen early on, it seems like these teams are going to be going the absolute distance. Well, I think that's going to be it for our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves, as well as our crunch time presented by Cheez-It Grooves. Thank you very much, Josh. And after the break, we're going to have the rest of the series to watch. So do not go anywhere. Get a cup of tea. Get your nan, make sure you're socially distancing, of course, but, you know, get everybody involved and send them the YouTube link to watch the stream. Why not? We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Not? The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. I was wondering why my cable from my headset, it's a little bit unprofessional of me, kept slipping in front of me. Found out the reasoning. Because it just detached from the clip. I just found out so amusing, and it could be because it's so late at night. But I was hearing.
Sounds like you had to be there. Kind of story.
I was hearing the countdown in my ear. You're going live in 10, 9, 8, and I was like, "Oh, that's why." I don't know. Maybe it's a had to be there moment. I'm actually almost pulled my headset off my head. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. As you can see, consummate professionals here, despite the fact that, we're looking at this series, and it is crazy. London versus Guangzhou, it's 1-1 currently, and it looks to be going the absolute distance, and I'm all for it, to be honest, because London are a team that, I'll admit, Josh, I rated them very poorly at the start of the season.
Sure.
Mainly because I thought they were going to be flying from London to America for a lot of their games.
They were based in, I think, New Jersey and now in Korea. So,
yeah. So travel not a factor anymore, and they're given a lot of resources. Of course, the London Spitfire, fantastic organisation.
Good coaching staff as well.
Good coaching staff. The opportunities to excel. The transition period made very nice and comfortable for a lot of the players. And now we're starting to see some of the results show in their gameplay.
Absolutely. I'm interested to see the second half of the series because I think it's going to be a little more open. We saw our control map at the beginning where the London Spitfire, I think, kind of got outplayed by the dive of Guangzhou and had kind of a counter comp rather than mirroring. And then Junkertown, which plays very uniquely. But our next maps coming up are at least going to be King's Row and Volskaya. And King's Row is such a very default map that everybody knows, everybody's well practiced on, and it favors double shield, which both of these teams like, I would say prefer. This is really gonna let us see whether the double shield win on Junkertown was more of a Junkertown specific Widowmaker strategy from London Spitfire, or whether they are just that well practiced on double shield.
Yeah, we'll see. That entire time I've been trying to clip cable on my back, and
God, you are just an unprofessional buffoon.
It was a struggle, but we got there. But nice. I completely agree. This is going to be the opportunity to see are the London Spitfire for real, because playing into Guangzhou Charge sort of diving composition when they were running a lot of the Sombra, a lot of the Winston, they were playing quite slow at times in the initial map, but it looks like Guangzhou are going to be opting for a bit of a dive style going here onto King's Row against the London Spitfire's double shield.
This is interesting, and I think it only works because Glister's playing the Hangzhou instead of playing the McCree. But there's opportunities here. But again, they need to maneuver somebody in up top. And they're looking for a hack and they're looking for a flank. I don't think it's the best. I think the double shield is probably better to be able to break this. But if Eileen can get in position without getting hosed down by that May gun, the freeze
endothermic blaster.
Nah, May gun.
Yeah, he tried. It's dangerous actually playing Sombra in that scenario, because if you get hit by even one of the little ice particles, I don't really know what you'd call it, but you're going to get decloaked, which you don't really want. As Sombra,
snowflakes?
You kind of need it. Yeah, but snowflakes don't really do damage. It's kind of weird, right? Is she just firing raw liquid nitrogen at people? That's
maybe.
That's metal. Like that
really is. I never thought about that.
That's kind of psychotic, Like that's. Using that as a weapon it might break a couple of the codes of the Geneva Convention. I'm not even sure, but we've always known May was a little bit wacky, so you never know. Anyway, the London Spitfire have been forced down onto the low ground now away, so the Guangzhou Charge have the high ground, and they're going to be attempting another dive attempt, this time up onto the high ground. Eileen gets the hack off onto J-Max, so no fortify. Now the Immortality Field comes down, so it's going to be keeping alive. And look at that shield setup. No one can touch them. They're going to try and find a little gap in the armor, if you will, to try and break in, but it's very difficult as Krong will end up falling. You lack your Diva, suddenly a lot of your dive potential is out the window.
Yeah, the Immortality Field is so strong against what the Guangzhou Charge are running, because if someone gets dived, they have another 200 HP that you have to break. And so it makes Glister so much more tanky, makes J-Mac so much more tanky. The stun onto Rio, they boop him away. This Nano Boost, useless. But he is going to come close to getting his Primal Rage. And a Primal can really open things up here.
Okay, now they're going to try and take away the high ground because they realize J-Mac down on the floor is going to start trying to play it down here. Chara moves forward though. Dragon Strike from London is going to split them straight down the middle. No one able to really make any moves here. You can see Rio using his Primal Rage. He will find one kill. It's an opening nevertheless. Supercharger going down is going to force him away here, Josh.
And they're giving up ticks. They've had to give up 2 already. Guangzhou in position, but Eileen's still not quite with that EMP. And the London Spitfire have opportunities to be able to touch back onto this point. They're having to use all of their abilities just to get a foothold, and Eileen's EMP, I think, is going to wipe them out
Big
towards the
Bayonet
end.
though from Shu there. Connects onto a couple of targets, so London has to back up around the corner. You can see Chara using that sound barrier. Guangzhou is so close to capping out this point now. They're only a couple of percentages away, but the Blizzard from Aldo.
Do they need to use the EMP? Because if they have to use the EMP, they're kind of stuffed for the next section of the map.
Yeah, they have to use it.
And they might have waited too long. They waited too long, Brent.
They wanted to save line of sight as well, Josh. He was able to get the Transcendence off. Krong, though, might try and turn this one. That could be exactly what they wanted. And that's exactly it. Guangzhou, they just cap it. No one able to touch from London. Krong clutching it in the final moments of that self-destruct.
Oh, what a bonkers fight. So many mistakes from both teams there, honestly. The Guangzhou Charge try and get a little bit greedy. They wanted to save their EMP because it's so good for maintaining momentum throughout the streets phase. Otherwise, your dive composition doesn't really have that much. So Eileen greedily tries to hold on, and then in the end, when he realized that the fight was turning and he realized he had to invest it, Krillin just came in with his Transcendence and nearly saved the entire thing. It was only a clutch 2K from Krong that managed to fix that. That's so messy from the Guangzhou Charge, honestly. And they nearly were in a devastatingly bad situation.
Nero hiding up in the upper sections of King's Row here. He had some stern words for somebody on social media. You can go find his tweets later, but for now he's going to be hunting for a pulse bomb. Stick connects, but doesn't find a kill, and Aldo with the icicle. A right click in the right place at the right time. Takes out Nero, and he finds a second one in the form of Rio. This is a brutal fight right now. London Spitfire on the defense, able to hold strong.
And this is why Eileen wanted to keep that EMP, because just in a neutral engagement, Guangzhou find it so difficult to dive the Mei and the Torbjorn. They've both got so much health. They're really tanky. They've got Immortality Field available as well. The Bionades have been great from Shu. They've managed to thread past Banar pretty much every single time, but Guangzhou is still finding it so difficult to be able to follow up. Eileen's going to have another EMP here. If they can EMP and Nano Boost, something like that, and be able to take point B, they're still in a good situation. But if they fail this next fight, Guangzhou are looking like they're going to go 2-1 down in the series already. I mean, it's that desperate.
So desperate. Eileen hunting for a hack target. Being pressured a lot though. Now you can see the Nano Boost being committed, but the Overload gets used by Glister, so he's not a target you can realistically dive when he uses that ability. Just gains a lot of
Nano
extra
wasted.
health. And that's another Nano Boost wasted, as you said, Josh.
All comes down to this EMP. Has to be amazing from Eileen.
Eileen has to make something happen. Guangzhou just trying to find any sort of opening they can. Eileen finally builds up the EMP, and now he's going to be hunting for an opportunity to use it and lets it go. Only connects onto the 3 targets though. Guangzhou going to be jumping into the fray regardless. They have to make something work, but they don't get any picks whatsoever. Krillin uses the Coalescence to push them all the way, and now only 50 seconds remaining. The ultimate's getting expended by London, forcing the Guangzhou Charge back. Supercharger, Blizzard, Molten Core, and Coalescence. But they do stop the push here from Guangzhou.
That's an absolute disaster from Guangzhou, and I'm reeling at the fact that they're not running double shield here as well. I mean, I feel like that just passed over us because it was such an obvious point at the beginning, but it's so strange that they're not taking the double shield battle against the London Spitfire, and they're diving into a Torb and a Mei.
Now they're sticking with this comp.
Yeah, and this is just desperation.
In the neutral game.
I mean, a Nano Boost and a Primal Rage and a Pulse Bomb, these are just ultimates that you're trying to clutch with. They're not favored in the fight, but there's a possibility of a win.
Try and make it happen. The Nano Boost comes out. Rio, it's all on his shoulders. The Primal Rage used, but he's frozen up. He's frozen up in the fray. Leaps away because he was falling down to half HP, but he's got to try and batter somebody into the back lines. Trying to find a target, although moves forward. Icebot going to be utilized now, and he's got to get a pick. The bubble comes down. Big Bionade, although going to be utilized now. As you can see, the sound barrier coming out from Guangzhou. This is good for them. They've bought enough time, and now they're using the ultimates in their favor. Bernardo with the self-destruct moved around. Everyone from Guangzhou able to avoid it. Glister bionated up. The immortality field keeps them alive, but not for much longer, as the Guangzhou Charge are going to be collapsing onto them.
The London Spitfire still want to invest ultimates here.
Okay.
Even with the Bionate coming down, it's going to kill Glister and Bernardo. I feel like that was a bit of a...
Optimistic.
It's not... Yeah, it's optimistic. It's not really that bad because Krillin will be perfectly fine, and he can swap over to the Zen if he really wants to as well. He doesn't have to worry about that Coalescence so much. But a little bit of an optimistic play towards the end to try and invest that the Coalescence for the win. Guangzhou now are in a fantastic position. It just flip-flops straight like that. Because they clutched out that fight, they've built up a load of ultimates, and the snowball is really possible here. An EMP that catches Although and stops his Blizzard coming out could just result in a fast point C cap.
We shall see. Eileen holding onto this EMP, and you can look at London pre-firing the corners. Now the EMP comes out, it connects onto the tanks. That's a wonderful immortality field from Hailey. But J-Mac, he's not long for this world, as he does get taken out, jumped on, and he's removed from the fight. Krong using his self-destruct. London have to clutch this up any means necessary, although using the Blizzard, but it didn't connect onto any targets. Bernard hacked up, trapped in the corner. He's gonna get shredded of his mech, taken out of the fight. Guangzhou Charge, only a couple of targets remain, standing between them and capturing this point up. The Molten Core now for Glister, not enough to stop the Guangzhou Charge. They are going to get a full capture with 27 seconds in their time bank.
Do I agree with the strategy of running Sombra Tracer Dive into the Mei and the Torbjorn? Not particularly. Do I think that Guangzhou executed really well at the beginning of the map? Not particularly. But did they clutch towards the end? Absolutely. They did the same thing that they did on round 1 of Oasis. Dragged the fight out, got their ultimates up, and Chara's sound barrier to capture point B was the difference maker. And then just rolling that forward with a lovely clutch EMP from Eileen. They win the difficult fights. They don't make it easy for themselves. They win the difficult ones. But they are still there, and they're in this series. I think they're really making it hard for themselves here, but capturing all 3 points of King's Row with 27 seconds still on the clock, that's a good time. It's very winnable right now.
Very winnable indeed.
But are they really going to run dive on defense as well? I'm so surprised by this. I know I keep going on about it, but it's King's Row. It's kind of double shield central. I would have expected Guangzhou to be running it there. You can get some value out of dive. People have done it in the past for sure, but it's difficult.
I will say that when they were in this matchup in map number 1, this precise matchup here, London were playing very slow. They weren't really capitalizing off the fact that Guangzhou like to pick their engagements. So if we see something similar from London, maybe it'll give Guangzhou the end that they're looking for. Now,
they're not going to run the Symmetra, surely. No. That's just to get people up on the high ground, and Glister goes over to the McCree. I like this.
I like the McCree pick, yeah.
They can dominate the point. They have enough heals. They have the immortality field as well. They don't have a Lucio, but they're just trying to get to the point and just hold it and stop Eileen and Nero being pesky. So they're going to rotate up onto the high ground, get Glister in a good position, get Bernard up there as well. They don't have a speed boost to speed over, though.
They do not, but that's okay. They're just trying to take position. Eileen's going to search for a hack. J-Mac is going to
wall over.
Okay, J-Mac's going to force him down to contest the point, because they have to, because he's getting capture point time right now. He's got a tick for himself. And look at Guangzhou trying to find an opening right now as they're wiggling their way around.
It's very slow from London. Very slow. And the slower they play, the more they're building up an EMP for Eileen. So even though Eileen hasn't done that much damage, everybody has now got 30% ultimate. So the EMP has as well.
Force Guangzhou to disengage. Just a tad here, but London, again, no casualties because Guangzhou Charge, they're relying on these hacks to find a target, to find anything. Now the Dana boost comes out. This should be one of the fight win conditions for them. He's just taking a high ground. Rio gets frozen. Has to leap away, back up. Trying to build up his primal rage, but he's only 66% to it. Has to get
and now they're going to play the point, though. Now the London Spitfire, I think, are going to play the point. They have ults available. Glister's going to get back up on the high ground, but J-Mac, Bernard, although these guys are just establishing position on the point, and it's so hard for Guangzhou to contest. And Eileen is still miles away from his EMP.
Amplification Matrix with the Deadeye. Working around the corners, forcing them away. Nobody was actually getting any capture point while that was going on. A bit of a wasted opportunity because now Rio goes in with the Primal Rage. And that's Glister instantly deleted. Nero with the pulse went to the backline. Hailey goes down. I think that's London not really capitalizing off of what they had.
Yeah. Yeah, playing too slow, not playing the point enough, and not punishing the people who are contesting the point. A little disappointed with what the London Spitfire were doing there. I also think that the Torbjorn might have been a better answer than the McCree, just because he's less diveable and you can just establish position on the point and pop your Torbjorn turret down to harass people who come and contest. Now Eileen has an EMP and suddenly this looks like it's a fairly decent situation for Guangzhou to be in. 1 minute 30 because London have played so slowly.
Eileen got caught out of position. He got frozen up, so he had to translocate back. So you know, didn't have to worry about the EMP just yet, but the EMP comes around and it only connects onto 2 targets. J-Mac and although J-Mac did manage to get the supercharger down, but taken out almost as fast as it was laid down, and you've just wasted one of the biggest ultimates right now. London, it's not looking great for them, but Kron getting chunked down, and now they're going to start to play the point. So this forces the hand of Guangzhou. Guangzhou have to contest the point here. Rio moves into the backline, has a nano boost as well, so he's just going to be trying to build up the Primal Rage. Falling very low. Sound barrier now committed by Guangzhou. Try and salvage this fight, but London are answering back, and those big ultimates, the South Destruct from Bernard finding Chara is a critical ult used, critical pick-off. See Eileen forced away as well. Glister now going to be using this Deadeye. No one can touch the point here, and if they do, they're most likely going to be demeched or taken out. There you have it. London Spitfire able to just slowly, through a war of attrition, take up this point. It was messy, it wasn't clean, but it worked out.
Yeah, it was very slow, and if Rio hadn't been caught in that blizzard, I think Guangzhou win, because they have the sound barrier available and they could have used it whenever. But the fact that all those blizzard caught Rio and froze him up in the middle of his Primal Rage meant that Chara had to use it. That's almost best case scenario for the Guangzhou Charge. Sure, they don't full hold, but they get it almost into overtime and tick as much time off that time bank as humanly possible. And now they've got a comp that can recontest over and over again in the streets phase. And Eileen is at 75% of his EMP. This is now looking like a really good situation for Guangzhou if you think about the whole game.
Nero's going to be for a target with the pulse bomb. Remember the stakes in this match as well. Both of these teams are playing for the wins of the tournament, and Glister finds a headshot onto Nero. It's the danger of playing Tracer into the main McCree is one stray shot to the head and you are out of the fight. Doesn't matter. Does enough damage with the headshots. Takes you out of the fight. Now you can see this cart moving forward. London Spitfire not being slowed down because Nero's not available with the pulse bomb. He can't be there to try and stagger it, but now they're going to start to stall it. Rio uses the Primal Rage. Start to move forward. The nano boost was committed as well. I'm not sure who to target.
It was onto Nero. It was onto Nero just to make sure that one headshot now cannot take him out. It was a nano boosted pulse bomb as well onto J-Mac, but that fortify keeps him alive, and they've taken down Glister. That's the counter to Eileen and Nero. Removed from the fight. A lot of ults up available for both teams here, but Eileen's EMP is available and will come through here to defend point B for the Guangzhou Charge.
I think Eileen's getting a bit greedy. I think he thinks that they can win this team fight without using the EMP.
I think they're just trying to play slow, Brent. They're just trying to take as much time as humanly possible before investing in the EMP. It finally comes out and they get J-Mac, and although they want London Spitfire to take the first move, if you force them to play against the clock, that's how the Guangzhou Charge's dive composition works best. And now with only a minute left, yeah, London have a ton of ults, but that time bank is looking so much worse for wear.
Yes, it is. London.
Sound barrier as well and nano boost are going to be available here for Guangzhou, and because London are not running a Lucio of their own, because for some reason they've opted for this Moira Batiste combination that has a huge amount of healing, they don't have great ults.
Yeah, and no speed boost to engage as well. They are almost forced to just play incredibly
slow. so slow.
Honestly, the Moira pick, not a huge fan of it, especially against a Diva. Not going to be getting maximum value out of those orbs, but if Glister hits heads, who cares? Hacked up, forced away, doesn't want to get dove on, but shoot, huge bio-nade. 3 targets out of the fight. London forced to play passive, and now 15 seconds remaining. Glister has to go huge. The Blizzard laid down, sound barrier only connects onto a couple of targets, although brings down Rio. Nero with the pulse bomb, but the Immortality Field took the brunt force. Now we see the London Spitfire getting the picks because of the supercharger. The added extra damage enough to just really push them through this choke point. And a minute 30 on the clock is what they've got to work with now. This is getting down to the wire.
And London are basically only winning fights when Although has his Blizzard. They managed to do the exact same thing there. They rushed the objective, or not rush it, they approached it incredibly slowly actually. But once they were on the objective, they placed the Blizzard down, and Krong is forced to run onto it. The soundbar is forced out again, but they're not going to have a Blizzard within the... well, actually, they will. They'll have one final Blizzard probably, but just as they get into overtime. But
Eileen
surely
dies.
they can't just be danking on that.
How does Eileen die in that scenario? He goes down. And now we see Hylie and Krillin both utilizing their support ultimates to push us forward. 45 seconds remaining. Guangzhou Charge trying to take away the high ground from the London Spitfire, but Glister, he's set up a positioning right now. Eileen forced to just try and push this card back. The
Guangzhou Charge can delay this.
Eileen goes down to a straight
way.
icicle! And now Rio using the Primal Rage, he has to come up big, he has to get a pick now, otherwise London are going to be pushing this one all the way in. And Anabu's committed onto Rio here, has to knock them at least into the pit, but he cannot find any targets. London playing this so slowly, but has Rio bought enough time for Eileen to come back in? He almost has the EMP. This could be turnable for the Guangzhou Charge. Deadeye from on high, straight from the back line. Can Glister get any picks? No. Guangzhou Charge play it perfectly right around the corners, and now the EMP gets let loose, but Glister finds the headshot. Still winnable for Guangzhou, though they could still stop London in their tracks. Overtime burning over, and the Blizzard gets hit by Krong! I don't believe these individual plays right now coming out from Guangzhou Charge. When they clutch it! Overtime burning down, but I don't think it's going to matter in the tail end of this fight because Eileen and Nero are finding the targets. J-Mac moves over to the Wrecking Ball as a last-ditch effort, but it's not good enough. The soundbar on top will do it in the end. That's going to be the nail in the coffin, so to speak. That is going to be Guangzhou Charge taking away Kings Row, making it 2-1.
What a fantastic display from the Guangzhou Charge players towards the end. Just amazing clutches.
That's kind of nasty.
Rio's able to delay for so long with his Primal Rage, and then as a self-destruct comes towards him and he knows that death approaches, he jumps away from it so that he doesn't take full damage and gets a nano boost to go back up to as much of full HP as he possibly can so that he can tank the self-destruct and continue to delay on that payload so that Eileen can come back, can pop the EMP, Nero goes ham, and Krong
It's the Blizzard.
Krong eats the Blizzard. We said it time and time again on Kings Row. The London Spitfire were only winning fights when that Blizzard was active, and Krong steals it away from them, devours it, gobbles it up, and gobbles up the win condition for London Spitfire with it. Again, though, that's so close. That is so close.
But you see what I mean now when I say that Guangzhou Charge are individually mechanically talented and they play around that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the team play just doesn't seem to be there at times, but when they come up clutch, they come up clutch, and there we have it. Guangzhou Charge taking away Kings Row. But we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we're going to have the rest of the series. Will the London Spitfire battle back, or will it all end here? We're about to find out. Do not go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League for potentially the last time tonight for the Asian matches, because we are heading into the next map, and it's going to be map number 4 between the London Spitfire and the Guangzhou Charge. The Guangzhou Charge currently leading 2-1 after a, I don't know what you want to call it, a miracle, a clutch performance. Just the Guangzhou Charge playing their hearts out towards the tail end of that map and clinched it up and making it interesting so far.
Yeah, a pretty amazing performance considering that they were playing the Sombra Tracer dive kind of compositions on King's Row as well, which, alright, we have seen dive be used in 2018 extensively on King's Row. It's not like people always play shield compositions, but it is a fairly shield composition favored map, I would say. And so for them to be able to pull that win out is spectacular. And heading into the next map that we're looking at, we've got Volskaya. And Brent, I'm not sure whether you're aware, but the London Spitfire has not won on an assault map this entire season. 2020, they are 0-5 on assault maps. But they haven't played Volskaya yet. So there's like a glimmer of hope if you're a London Spitfire fan. They've also had 10 weeks off. But generally speaking, this does seem to be a bad game mode for them.
Is today the day? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm saying, Josh. Just laying down the question. Is today the day? Did the London break records? Did they get a win away from Guangzhou? Maybe, but at the same time, when I think of Volskaya, I also think of these Winston dive compositions, which are incredibly popular for holding first point. And if that's what the Guangzhou Charge are choosing to run, even on maps where that's not exactly optimal, like King's Row, what are they going to look like when they're on a map where it is suddenly looking ever so slightly more optimal? I would
also expect the London Spitfire to continue running double shield. They've been doing it the entire time, so why would they stop? Or maybe not double shield, but Orisa-centric compositions. They have been playing Orisa Diva as well, but yeah, some kind of Orisa comp with like May McCree, May Torb. I think we're going to see a clash of styles here on Volskaya.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, and don't shoot the messenger, because I know we got a lot of people from the UK watching, but yeah, it's looking rough for London right now. If they're able to do this, if they're able to take away their first assault map of 2020 and stop the Guangzhou Charge from running away from this series, then, well, it's going to be one for the books. Absolutely. That one's for sure.
Certainly is. The London Spitfire are looking tidy in terms of their win rate so far this season. When you think about the overall playoffs towards the end, they're 4-2 right now, and they're hanging with some of the better teams in this Asian region. Guangzhou Charge, remember, just came off the back of beaten NYXL.
Yeah,
this is a good performance here tonight from the London Spitfire, but looking a bit more short term, what they're actually playing for here is qualification into our May tournament and the seeding that will provide. And the London Spitfire would love to go deep into the tournament like that, to prove that they have what it takes to be able to go up against New York, to have what it go up against Seoul or a Shanghai. And they won't get there if they get knocked out early in the tournament because they haven't been able to pull out the wins.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, because I don't have the standings in front of me, but in terms of the amount of wins, both of these teams are 1-0 currently, right? When it comes to the qualifiers, I believe.
Charge actually, I believe, are 2-0.
2-0.
They've got 2 wins recently, and Spitfire are 1-0. So Charge here are playing for a potential top seed. When you think about the fact that Seoul and Shanghai both lost matches recently.
I mean, that's ridiculous to think about. The kind of the repercussions of this match are really going to start to echo, actually, off the back of it. We're going to see the Charge running a composition that they are no strangers to. Nero on the Fire, one of his most common roles, with the role that he's almost most known for at this point, actually, some would argue. And a lot of this composition revolves around building up that barrage, building up a nano boost, and letting it rip like it's 2003.
Did you have many nano barrages in 2003?
No, but
before YouTube even existed?
I was battling plastic spinning objects in 2003.
Right, okay. Yeah, I like the avoidance of a brand name. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Listen, until they give the Overwatch League money, they ain't getting a word out of me. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Well,
Guangzhou just setting up here, trying to figure out some spam angles. Nero can go really aggressive here if he realizes that they're all grouped up in the back. And once Rio gets healed, Shu's going to have a lot more of that nano boost charge.
Double shield setup right now. London are mitigating a lot of the rockets because Nero, despite the fact that he's being damage boosted, He's only up to 65%
Oh,
now.
but look at this. Guangzhou are now getting in position. So Rio is going to be able to charge up a lot more of Shu's nano. And they can either send Rio in with the nano boost and Nero with a barrage, or they can go for that big nano barrage if Nero gets in position. And they need somebody to play the point as well.
Nano boost comes in. He's so close to it right now. Just one more rocket will do it. Look at the wall! Oh my goodness! Denied instantly! London knew how to play it. They knew how to play it exactly. They knew what was coming. And they bring him down. So that's the nano boost wasted there. Nero not able to find the opportunity. It was a little bit scrappy, if I do say so myself, in terms of how they wanted to engage that.
Yeah, and pretty obvious as well. It was absolutely telegraphed that Nero was coming through the top there. And now the good part for Guangzhou is they use a nano boost, and then by healing up the people that were damaged in that fight, Shu's already back to 60%. So these nanos get built incredibly quickly. But they need to be a bit more coordinated about that. Pull their tanks in, pressure the point as well at the same time as Nero engages.
Go for a little sideways play here.
Great Bionade.
Shu with the Bionade. And Shu is a name we haven't spoke about a lot, but my goodness, look at the damage, Josh.
That's much better coordination coming out from Guangzhou.
God.
Fantastic stuff. Rio sets up on top. They thread the needle with a Bionade down the bottom, and Nero finds angles to do rocket damage as well. That's the kind of team play you're after if you're the Guangzhou Charge. We know this team has fantastic individual skill. They're so well-rounded. When they pair it together, that's when they reach that new next gear.
And here's where it gets dangerous for London, because look at the ultimates for Guangzhou Charge. EMP, Barrage, Valkyrie as well if they want to pop it, and Nano Boost. This Nano Boost is going to get laid onto Nero. And that much damage is just going to go straight through that Transcendence. Despite the fact that Krillin has that ultimate, it ain't going to help him here. It's going to be way too much to even overcome. That's if Krillin even survives the EMP in the first place. The EMP gets used, Krillin immediately using his Transcendence. Bionade onto J-Mac, so J-Mac goes down, and now we see the Nano Boost being utilized. Nero doesn't even want to pop it yet, but finally lets it go. It's a great peel from Bernard, as he was there with the Defense Matrix, but Krillin does fall. Instant Resurrect from Chara. And that's going to be peeled away for his team. But it's looking like a very winnable engagement so far for the Guangzhou Charge. And as I say that, a couple of picks going the way of London. But there we have it. J-Mac back in the fight with the shield. Placement is down, and he is providing a foundation for his team to work around.
Wow, not even a single tick though. The London Spitfire did really well, especially Glister on the Tracer. You don't normally think about the Tracer as being an effective counter to a Sombra Pharah composition, but he was able to keep the point delayed and also put pressure on Shu at the back and do consistent damage to the tanks in the middle of that fight. I will say, I think the turning point was when Hailey used his Amp Matrix to kill Nero on the Pharah. Just that tiny little angle that he managed to thread those bullets through and get the kill on Nero's Pharah changed the entire course of the fight, removed so much damage, and now the comps have been swapped completely. Guangzhou going back to this tried and tested Sombra Tracer dive composition that's worked so well for them.
Gotta find these hacks though, that's gonna be one of their major win conditions. Krong using the self-destruct, this is a very orchestrated play. You can see Rio tried to go for the leap there, but look at that Primal Rage. Hailey goes off the edge. Krillin, you're next, Sunshine. You ain't gonna be safe from any of these fists. You don't want to catch these hands either. Rio finding two, setting his team up for victory. That is beautiful, but a bit of a misplay from London, just even playing that close to the edge in the first place. And now this will be a tick going the way of Guangzhou. Question is, can London stall it? With the Transcendence in their pocket, it's looking winnable for London. They might be able to defend this one. Krillin waiting, ready. Now he's going to use the Transcendence. Amplification Matrix from Hailey goes down as well at the same time, forcing Guangzhou back to a degree. Eileen using the EMP, but gets brought down immediately. Hailey, quite little burst shot there, straight into the head, takes him out, and London, they might just turn this one right now.
Shu's under so much pressure, and they haven't been able to pick off Krillin, who's just playing up at the high ground here, annoying Nero. Nero gets the pick onto Krillin, but Hailey has been able to stay alive. His immortality fields have been so crucial in denying the Guangzhou Charge, and I'm amazed again that the Guangzhou Charge don't manage to capture. That set play between Rio and Krong was phenomenal to send in the self-destruct. Oh, hello. Don't get too greedy. Oh, he misses! The whiff!
Oh, no Glister.
That's unfortunate.
Okay.
The set play between Rio and Krong was superb. The fact that he managed to juggle both supports off, sublime.
Outside of that,
Guangzhou only have a minute left.
Towards the tail end of that fight, how did Krillin get to the high ground on the opposite side of the map?
I don't know.
I think
teleported.
this is just a guess, but I think he rode the self-destruct bomb while he was transcendence up to the high ground. It's the only thing I can think of. But regardless, the fight continues because Rio is going to get the nano boost slapped on top of him. And yep, this bad boy can fit in so many nano boosts. He's just peppering away trying to build up the primal rage. Immortality Field going to be going down. Only a single tech that's all Guangzhou need, but they only have 25 seconds to do it. Now Krong using another self-destruct into the back line. Doesn't find anything. Nero going to be hunting for a pick now on the Tracer. Desperately dodging and weaving and juking, and there we have it. Finally, Rio builds up the primal rage, and he's going to start to do the damage. Does Krillin dirty. Takes him out of the fight. Blocking away Highly as well. So Highly, even with the Immortality Field, he's taking him out of the fight, and that gives the Guangzhou Charge enough time to cap it up with 3 seconds. Yep.
That's so crucial. That gives them extra time. If the London Spitfire are also able to full cap, that 3 seconds could come back to bite London. They would be begging, wishing, hoping and praying that they had just managed to take those final 3 away. Really nice execution though from Guangzhou Charge in that final fight. They only had to get a single tick. They managed to get all of the position onto the point with the nano boost, and then they have an extra life on Krong with his self-destruct and an extra life with Rio's primal rage, and then a sound barrier to boot. So they had so much health to be able to just wander in and not be afraid. So they managed to come out with the win in the end. It's slow, but it's winnable.
It
and
is
the London
slow.
Spitfire, I do think, are going to be kicking them a little bit that they weren't able to get it into overtime.
I've got to say, I don't feel good though about London's attack here, because think about the way they've been playing and think about how slow they've been playing. With the composition that London are playing and how many attacks they're going to be able to get off here, how many good attacks would you say that you think that London are going to be able to get off here, Josh?
3 good attacks, I would say. Even in the full 4 minutes, I think if they're not running a Lucio and they have to rotate to the high ground every single time, they're probably only going to have 3 good engagements. And if they're really slow, then they might not even get a good 3rd engagement. So it kind of depends, because the Guangzhou Charge as well really have to be perfect with their defense. They can't afford for Eileen or Nero to die, you know, to a random headshot from Glister or Although. Otherwise, everything collapses. So it's rough for both teams. The London Spitfire are making it harder for themselves by not running the Lucio, but also the Guangzhou Charge are playing a dive comp that requires, if not perfection, then a great performance. Eileen cannot be allowed to get picks like that, though. I mean, I said they were going to get 3 attempts. They've just wasted 45 seconds.
Yeah, I was watching what London were doing. In case you guys at home are wondering, why would they play the Wrecking Ball and Hog at the start there? They were trying to go for a default hook where Eileen might have been hiding to hook him, but also J-Mac was trying to get a knockoff into the river for somebody. But that just wastes even more time while you're trying to go for that kind of stuff. The Hog's okay, but losing Krillin there as well. Now, as you said, they've burnt a minute off the clock, and now London have only just started to attack here. Or Guangzhou are just going to start to play a bit more split and pick style, if you will. Waiting for the right opportunity to go in. So the point is going to start to get capped up. They do have a tick.
They give them a tick.
Yeah, interesting. Where is Guangzhou? Okay.
They're just getting in position to engage, trying to work up a Bionade, find a pick onto Glister, find his positioning.
Yeah.
See if they can get a hack.
Work up the courage to attack, maybe. Work up the courage to ask to build a prompt, but doesn't quite work out. Maybe I'm just projecting my own insecurities onto the Guangzhou Charge. Who knows? But London are very close to just capping this one out. They need to start making some plays here. So Eileen going to be going in. EMP does come out, but Krong frozen up here. Big Bionade onto Waldo, which means he will be going down. London still alive though in this little cubby. And you can see opportunity for London to come back as the transcendence comes out. Now the pulse bomb laid down, but it forces them all into the corner, and that allows Rio
That's
to
a
get
good collapse under the supports.
Yeah, nice bit of cleave damage there as it chunks them. And it looks like the Guangzhou Charge are able, by the skin of their teeth, win out this team fight. So fair play to them.
That was super close for Guangzhou. The investment of the EMP's a bit of a gamble, honestly, because if it doesn't work out, then London have got a great time bank and they've got all the ultimates they need to be able to roll into point B. But that's the entire thing that the Guangzhou Charge composition is built around. It's getting that EMP late in the fight and being able to turn it, and they did there. Rio and Nero are so good at being able to work together to clean up that backline as well. I'm so impressed with Nero's Tracer. It's not a hero that you would normally associate with him, but he has come out in 2020 and just looked fantastic on Tracer.
The supercharger from J-Mac comes down. That's going to be the precursor now to this fight. Rio has the nano boost, primal rage used, but he has to back out because he was getting frozen up. It's a death trap if he tried to leap his way into there.
Buying time for Eileen though. Again, Eileen really close to another AMP.
Rio, he is dancing with death. The sound barrier, the trust in his team to just ensure that would come is immense there. Great team play from Guangzhou Charge, and Nero will start beating down the opposition, as you can see, going for it. Falling very, very low, has to recall just to heal himself back up, but the Guangzhou Charge holds strong, and now only 40 seconds remaining, and it comes back, Josh, to what we were saying earlier about how many good attacks are London going to be able to get when they're playing this slow.
Well, they've already had 2. The first attack was very good. They managed to get almost the full 3 ticks. The second attack, they didn't really get anything. Their backline got destroyed by a coordinated dive from Nero and Rio.
Going to be good.
This next one, they're pushing into an EMP, and Glista has not been able to get any work done. I think he would have been better on the Torbjorn, honestly.
Well, it could all come crashing down right here. Nice by Bernard to spot out Eileen. He forces the translocate, so Eileen is not able to use the EMP straight away. Now we see the amplification matrix. Eileen will be hunting for a target or 2, but London, they have to come up clutch now. The EMP connects onto so many targets, and it's going to be brutalizing the opposition. The London Spitfire being picked to pieces. The carrier Crow finding his mark. See Rio laying down the bubble just to block that little self-destruct. Cutesy little play from him. Only a couple of players remaining for London. They switch over to the stall characters. Krillin using a Transcendence just to keep it stalling, just to keep it ticking over. J-Mac now rolling into the fray just to see if they can find this, but this might just be it. The final moments of the point. Guangzhou Charge are finding the pickoffs, and that is going to be them taking away Volskaya Industries. London Spitfire not going to be able to get that assault map win of 2020 just yet, and it is going to be the Guangzhou Charge taking this series, and that means that they now I don't have the standings in front of me, but it means they now have 3 wins when it comes to the qualifiers of the May tournament. A very big win for Guangzhou.
3-0 with a map differential of +7. I mean,
That's
the Guangzhou
huge.
Charge are looking dominant.
Yeah.
They're looking like they're in a prime position to lock up that first place for the May tournament standings, at least in the APAC division. Coming off the big win against the New York Excelsior, they take on London Spitfire, who just demolished Chengdu yesterday, and they made it look, if not easy, they made certain aspects of it look very clean, and they made this Sombra Tracer setup look viable across a range of different maps as well. I think that our player of the match here is a great shout going to Nero. I think this guy's been so impressive all year long.
Absolutely, yeah. Nero has been one of the most impressive players. Last year, candidate for Rookie of the Year, but this year he's going to be really cementing himself now on this team as the foundation, one of the core members, one of the reasons for his success. Now, I don't want to blow up his ego too much, because you don't want any divas on the team. But not to say that Nero has an ego in the first place. I think he actually thinks he looks down on his own Tracer play in some senses as well, based on his interactions on social media. But in this game, at least, Josh, you were very impressed with his Tracer.
I was indeed, yeah. I think that Nero's Tracer is surprisingly good, considering that he's not the kind of player that has played Tracer a lot in like some big Tracer meta in the past. He's not one of the big names that we think of when, like 2018 metas when Tracer was being played all the time. But he's been able to play every hero at a really high level for the Guangzhou Charge. The Volskaya performance was very good, nice and clean. They messed up their Pharah Sombra comp a tiny bit at the beginning, but apart from that, a pretty good performance, especially on the defense. I'm a little worried for London, though. This team has come out today. They've shown a good performance against a top team in the Asian division, but they've also shown some flaws. They're very well practiced at the comps they're good at, but they still can't win on assault maps. And when they run Krillin at the same time as Hylie, it's so exploitable because they play incredibly slowly with no Lucio. So a couple of things to tighten up before that May tournament, but they're still looking all right. This team was expected to be one of the weakest in Asia, and I don't think that's the case.
Well, that's going to do it for us, for the Asian games at least. But in about 8 hours' time, we're going to have even more Overwatch League action that's going to be kicking off on your screen. So you don't want to miss that one. Set your alarms if you want to go to bed now. But yeah, as I said, that's going to do it from us. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the action. It's been a little bit wacky. It's been a little bit doolally, if you will. But we got there in the end, and you know, hopefully I'm not fired next week, but we'll see. You know, it could happen. You never know, Josh. You never know.
Yep.
You could be in luck.
I'll be casting with Hex next week.
Anyway,
back out on the streets.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. That's going to do it for us, and we'll see you next time.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.